I know a lot of you are probably wondering, why are you sharing your life's most intimate and traumatic experience with a sea of strangers? Well, there's a multitude of reasons, but there's 3 big ones. And I'm gonna share with you the first 2 reasons. And the third one, I'm going to wait and share with you at the end of the series because I don't wanna give anything away. But the first reason is that this is my way of telling the world that love is a powerful, powerful drug. And if you're someone that's knowingly or unknowingly in an unhealthy or toxic relationship, I want you to know that love is a powerful drug, and it clouds our judgment and it makes us think in ways we wouldn't think otherwise. And if you're someone that's also trusted the wrong person, you're not alone, and you need to give yourself grace and compassion because it happens every day. The second reason is that this is my way of protecting others, and whether it be someone that might encounter my ex, or let's be real, there's some horrible people in this world. I want to protect other people from going through what I went through. And if there's one person that can watch these videos and see some signs in their relationship that they didn't see before, and they can remove themselves before too much.
One thing I love about stories like this that keep on giving is the fact that, like, I look forward to his part. I look forward to his part. It's gonna get messy. I feel like she's gonna do her 28 part. I want to see his 30 parts, and then I feel like as soon as he give his part, people are gonna say, tell him, be quiet. You didn't have to do too much. So I look forward to his part. So I need to find who he is and subscribe ASAP. Okay. And the minute he goes live, we're gonna go live. So
the damage is caused, then it's 100% worth it for me to do what I'm doing. What you guys are about to hear is going to be one of the most beautiful love stories you've ever heard in your entire life. And for that reason, I need to make sure you guys all prepare yourselves because it's gonna take a very drastic turn.
This is gonna be good. And
this is gonna be one of the most insane roller coaster of emotions that you guys have been on.
We can't wait.
If you were a fan of the Who the Fuck Did I Marry series, unfortunately, the story you're about to hear is significantly worse, and it pains me to say that.
Oh no.
This next part, I'm actually going to channel my inner Risa Tisa because I loved the way she did her introduction and disclaimer video. Everything you're about to hear is the truth and can be verified by multiple people in my life, and I actually have a folder in my phone that's labeled
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Sorry.
evidence, and it can support probably 80% of the things I'm going to say throughout this series. So if my ex or anyone else
I have to move my
wants to
tab.
come forward and say I'm fabricating any of this, I will be more than happy to release the receipts to the world. I'm going to tell the truth, even if it makes me look bad. And there's going to be times that you guys are going to be looking at me crazy. And there's going to be times, number one, love is a powerful drug. And I'm going to be using a mixture of aliases and real names because I don't have everyone's permission to use their names, and my priority is remaining respectful to everyone that was involved, everyone except for my ex. And in case you guys are wondering, I'm going to be referring to him as my ex throughout this series, mainly because I feel like if I say his name every day this frequently, it's gonna cause me to become physically ill, and I do not want that. I don't know how many parts this is gonna be, but I know it's not gonna be 52 because I don't have the patience for that, but I will try to get these out as quickly as I can. I'm a real estate agent, so my careers can be very demanding unexpectedly at times, but I will try to get these parts out as quickly as I possibly can. I come from a beautiful, strong Nigerian family that was built on deep respect.
Oh, nice. A Niger. I'm Nigerian too.
And unbreakable support. And we have never experienced trauma at this magnitude. So this situation completely rocked us to our core, but I truly believe that we will come out of this stronger than ever. And I just wanted to take a moment to just thank my friends and family for giving me the courage and the strength to be able to come forward and share my story, because
Aloha. Sorry if I cannot read, if I don't see your comments. I'm still working out some few quirks with the software, and I did some few updates today, but I'm still not able to see everyone's comments yet. But I'm not sure why my vertical live didn't go up today. But yes, I'm all in. What's happening? Yes, nothing is happening so far. It looks like it just got started. Okay, so I'm not gonna try to interrupt as much as possible, but at the same time, I have to give some kind of fair use commentary, right? Because just in case YouTube decide to like play around, okay? But nothing so far. She just setting the stage. It's gonna be a love story. It's gonna turn around then. And the most important thing is, I look forward to his part, okay? So we just want to get the groundwork done now, and it's a 28-part series, okay? So this is gonna be a long time, okay? And feel free to hit the replay. This is part one.
I feel so much love from the people around me, and I would.
Okay, 4 minutes in, she just want to give her love, spread some love out. I don't know. Maybe we should skip it to the next one. What do you guys think?
Be able to do this without them. And I really just wanted to end this video with a message directly to my ex. And frankly, I don't think he's going to be watching this because he's a coward. But in the event that he is, this message is for you.
I can watch this and let him know what you say, okay? What's the message?
You have lived a life where you've hurt so many people and you've created damage in the lives of many, and no one has ever truly held you accountable for your actions. I was silent for a very long time, and that silence only benefited you and it never benefited me. And I'm sharing my story for my healing, for my strength, and for my growth. And you might not believe this, but this is not about revenge. This is about protecting others and reclaiming my power, because I survived a story that I never asked to be a part of. And I'm gonna tell it with honesty, intention, and power, because my voice will no longer be minimized.
Just while I'm messing. Mel. Mel, we need a story time for what Melanie Jones has gone through in the T sector concerning JR. Mel, I'm gonna cover it. Okay, we need you to go to Ticket to the Talk, Mel. Mel, I'm being funny. So I don't want you to feel like I'm making fun of your hurt, right? But it would be nice, because everyone is getting paid for it, right? It'd be nice for you to go to your story, go to TikTok, and you're gonna do one of those tell-all kind of story, okay? Hey, you never know. Millions of people are probably gonna listen to it, and you never know what's gonna happen, okay?
So you guys, welcome to the Danish Deception,
yes.
And it's time to get this thing started. So let's head on over to part one.
Let's go.
Hello.
So that's part one. Now let's go to part two, okay? I'm just gonna let it play out.
The Danish Deception, part one. Okay.
Well, technically speaking, this is part one on my side. She numbered it, right? But just in case you think I'm drinking this early.
So it all started in June of 2022. I was in a place in my life where I was working 2 jobs. I was working like a dog, and I knew I needed a break. So I reached out to my friend, Sarah, who was living in Germany at the time with her husband. And I said, let's take a trip. Let's go somewhere in Europe. And she was so down. And we were trying to decide where we wanted to go. And we decided to go to Hvar, Croatia, because we wanted somewhere that was like a cute local town that was by the water, but it wouldn't be as crazy busy as other places in Europe. And so we decided to go to Hvar. We flew to Split first, met there, took a ferry over. And at first I was just so amazed at how beautiful this place was. And so the first night I was a little bit jet lagged. So we kept it very chill, grabbed dinner, then went back to our Airbnb. And the next morning when we woke up, we had literally 2 things on our agenda, and that was to eat and drink and be by the water. And well, I guess that's 3 things, but yeah, eat, drink, and be by the water. So we went to Hula Hula, which if you've been to Hvar, you've been to Hula Hula. It's this beach club that's very well known there, and it's right on the water. And we're laying in day beds kind of off to the side, minding our own business, sipping mojitos. And I look up and I see this very attractive man. And the first thing that came to my mind was, this man looks like he is walking straight out of a Calvin Klein ad. And I'm telling you guys, 6'3", blonde hair, blue eyes, chiseled skin, so tan, muscles everywhere. I was definitely taken aback. And I feel like it takes a lot for me to really double take a man just based on his looks like that. And 100%, I was a little bit just in awe. I didn't even realize that he was like with a friend at first. And so I'm still minding my own business, keeping it chill. And he looks over at me and he says, "How are the drinks?" And I said, "The drinks are wonderful. We're just sipping mojitos." He said, "Should I get us all around?" And I said, "Absolutely. Number one, he's cute. Number two, who wouldn't want a free mojito?" So I said yes. We got a round of drinks and we're sipping our drinks and we just start small talking. And I asked them where they're from. And they say that they're both from Denmark. My ex was living in Copenhagen, and then his friend was living in a smaller town called Aalborg, which is north of Copenhagen, and that was actually my ex's hometown, that his friend was still living there. And so we were just small talking the whole time. We didn't really talk about a whole lot of things. It was just like, "Where are you from?" and just basic things. But they were asking us, "What's your plan for the rest of the trip?" And we told them, we're doing a full day boat excursion tomorrow, and then we're going to dinner tonight at this place called Dalmatino. And he said, "Oh, how's the dinner spot?" And I was like, "I don't know, but I got recommended by a friend to go there." And he was like, "Okay, well, maybe we'll meet up with you guys again later." And I said, "Sure." So we're getting a little bit tired, so we decided that it's time for us to leave. And so as we're leaving, I decide to make a bold move and just ask him for his Instagram. And obviously I'm trying to be a little sly, so I asked him and his friend for their Instagrams. And we exchange Instagrams. We get into our taxi to go back to our Airbnb, and we're literally en route to our Airbnb, and I get a DM from him, and he basically said, "It was so nice meeting you. Have fun at Dalmatino. Maybe we'll see you guys later." Didn't read anything into it. I just was like, it was fun to just have a conversation with a cute guy. And so we go back to our Airbnb, we get dressed, we get ready for dinner, and we're like on our way to dinner, and he is like messaging me about the restaurant and asking us details about it. I didn't think anything of it. But we sit down, we're having dinner, we have a spectacular dinner, and we're finishing off the evening with our desserts, AKA espresso martinis. And I'm sipping my drink and I look up and I see him and his friend at the restaurant. And they walk up over to us and I'm like, "Oh, hey." He's like, "Yeah, they're a little booked up, but they said they can seat us in 20 minutes. I was like, "Oh, cool. Well, we're about to be done, but we'll go grab a drink. Maybe we can meet up later." And he said, "Okay, sounds good." So it's kind of awkward timing because we were finishing up dinner while they hadn't even been sat yet. And so we went to a bar across the street and we were grabbing drinks, and I just I hit a wall, and
I'm still waiting for something to happen, but we have to be patient. We have to wait for the build-ups. It's going to take some time, okay? Get your popcorn, relax, okay? I cannot skip right through this. We need to know how we got there, okay? This is the foreplay, okay? Take your time, okay? This is going to be a 2 hours workout.
It's okay, now I need to go to sleep. And I was super jet lagged. And so I sent him a DM just basically saying, "Hey, we are so tired. We have a full boat excursion tomorrow. I don't think we're going to stay out much later." And he was like, "That's totally fine." And so the next day we wake up, we get on the boat, and I start obviously posting all my cute photos. Remember I took a photo driving the boat, and we were just,
She's very hot.
having fun. And I was looking at my Instagram story, and I see he's hearting every single story, and he's responded to a couple of them. I am not the type of person that takes.
Yes, I'm counting red flags too, but nothing so far. So far, it's a beautiful story. Boy meets girl, girl like boy, looks like boys going through all her Instagram stuff and hearting everything. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So what are we doing here? Okay.
That reads very much into activity on social media like that, but it was something that I noticed. And so, we continued on with that for a day and a half. And then he reaches out to me and he says, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And at this time, it is our last night in Havar. And he said, what are you guys doing tonight? And I said, we don't really have plans because we didn't. And he said, well, do you guys want to come to dinner with us? And me and my friend were like, absolutely, sure. And she wasn't really down to go. I kind of forced her because I was like, this guy's hot and it's a free dinner. Like, let's just go. It'll be fun. And so she's a good friend. So she came with me and we get to the restaurant and him and his friend are sitting across from each other. So obviously I took the seat next to him. I was sitting across from my friend and we're sitting there, we're having a wonderful dinner and drinking.
Dude, she still has something for that guy. Listen, I'm watching her face. I have a lot of things I have to kind of like do while I'm doing this. And when she mentioned how she sat next to him, right, he still had that remembrance of like joy and happiness. Pay attention to that, okay? She still have something for him. And allegedly, he stole a lot of money. So if he stole $1,000 from me, that's it. There's no me telling the story and still be like happy to like to talk about you. No, it's not happening.
Drinking tons of wine, and I come up with this idea to play this game where I'm asking his best friend to describe what my ex's type was, and because we were obviously like vibing with each other, and I was just curious, and so his best friend starts listing off everything like good morals, hard worker, all these things. And like, I felt like he was describing me. And after his friend was done talking, my best friend basically said, you know, aside from being a good cook, she checks off every single box. And I remember I looked at him, my ex, and I said, but I will become a great cook for a good man. And he starts laughing. I remember I put my hand on his leg, and that was the first time in my life that I felt that instant electricity from someone's touch. Like, it literally felt like I was getting shocked. And we instantly like had this physical attraction towards each other. And we started talking about what we did for work. And I told him that I was working as a real estate agent and in tech. And then he told me, I'm actually chief commercial officer for a ad tech company that does marketing for real estate companies. So I was working in real estate and tech, and he was working in real estate and tech, and everything just like felt like it was aligning. But again, I'm like, this guy lives in Copenhagen. There's nothing that's going to come from this. So after dinner, we go and grab some drinks at a bar nearby, and we grabbed one drink, and they're definitely gearing up to go back out. And it was our last night, and my friend really did not want to go out. And I am not the type of a girl to ever leave my friend for a man, never in a million years. So I ended up just saying, hey, I think we're going to call it a night and we're going to head out. And he was respectful of that 100%. And I remember we just hugged goodbye and we left, and that was it. And so we're going back to our Airbnb. We're walking home, and I get a DM from him, and he said, it was so nice meeting you. I hope it's not the last time. Also, South Africa's happening. I can see it. And the reason why he said that was because I was telling him that I had wanted to go to South Africa for that following Christmas, and because my family was going to be traveling. And he said, I've always dreamt of going to South Africa. And I jokingly was like, well, you're invited if you want to come. And so whenever he made that comment to me in the DM, I was like, okay, sure. I am not thinking anything of it, right? At this point, whatever, like, this guy lives 5,000 miles away from me. I'm not thinking anything of it. So the next day, my friend goes back to Germany, and I go to Barcelona to meet up with some friends. And again, I'm like posting throughout my trip, and every time I look at my phone, it's like he's DMing me, messaging me, and he's continuing all of this. And I'm just a little bit shocked, but also like very interested still at the same time. And he was remembering things that I told him at dinner. Like, I had told him that I was going to buy a Chanel bag because I wanted to reward myself for working hard. And he had messaged me and been like, hey, did you get your Chanel bag? And I was literally like drunk off sangrias in my bikini and cover up in the Chanel store when I got that DM. And I sent him a selfie, and he said, this is the best photo I've ever seen. And I just like felt like I could just be myself with him already. And, you know, we were just getting along and having good conversation. So again, he doesn't even have my phone number at this point. We were literally just flirting through DMs. So I end up leaving Barcelona the next day, and I land, and he sends me a message, and he said, what are you doing this weekend? Do you want to go to Ibiza? And I saw the message, and I was like, what? and we will continue in part 2.
I call it Ibiza. Ibiza? Anyway, so yes. To me, no red flag so far. He's attentive. He's a gentleman. She put her hands on his thighs. I'm not sure what she was looking for, but nothing happened. Nothing came up. So far so good. Nothing. So let's see what's gonna happen. Again, this is part 3 on my side because she has it like she has a playlist. So I'm hitting part 3, but I think this is part 2 of the story. Okay.
The Danish Deception, part 3. Okay.
Wait a minute. Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. This is part 2. I'm sorry.
The Danish Deception, part 2. Okay. So he sent me this message saying, you should come to Ibiza this weekend. I'm going with a bunch of friends. And he's like, I'll send you the flight. Everything will be paid for.
If anyone is watching this ever been to Ibiza, I was so close to going, but I didn't because that time I was in West Africa, right? And Spain was really close, the part where I was, right? So I was going to go there, but ended up not going.
And I thought about it for a second because, come on.
Beautiful party place.
Who wouldn't want to go to Ibiza? And then I thought a couple of reasons why I didn't want to go was mainly because I just bought a Chanel bag. So I was like, I want to work and make more money. And also I felt like this is the type of guy that things come easy for him. And this is not something that's going to be easy for you to obtain. And I didn't want our first weekend to be like just partying together with all of his friends. Like that's not what I wanted. So I ended up telling him no, but I just ended up saying that I needed to work. And I thought he was never going to talk to me again. But somehow this like lit a fire under him and he became even more persistent and he started pursuing me even more. And he was sending me messages like, when are you going to come visit me in Copenhagen? Or I would love to come to Dallas to come see you. And I was just like, who is this man and what's happening? Still not really taking him serious. And then maybe like a couple weeks later, he sends me another message. And at this point, we're still talking pretty consistently on Instagram. We still do not have each other's numbers. And he sends me a message. He says, hey, I have a work conference coming up in Monaco and I would love for you to come. And I read that message and I was like near the south of France, like that Monaco? And he was like, yeah, like I can get you your flight and everything will be taken care of. And I was like, okay, well, give me some time to think about it because I didn't want to say yes on the spot, but I was like, okay, this is something I definitely want to consider. So I thought about it for a while. I talked to my friends about it. I talked to my sisters about it. At first I was like, I don't think I'm going to do it. Like, this is crazy. And then over time I started like talking myself into it. And then one morning I woke up and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go to Monaco. So I sent him a message and I said, hey, I've decided I'm going to come to Monaco. And he sends me a message. He said, this is the best day ever. I'm so happy. Send me your passport and everything. I'll book the flight. So I sent him a picture of my passport. And I also...
Oh, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. She met a guy one time, got a good vibe. Every serial killer probably has a good initial vibe, right? Send him a picture of your passport. That's absurd. She's Nigerian. She should know better. She's Nigerian. You should definitely know better. Okay. My standards are a little bit now different for her because again, it's like you don't meet someone and start sending them your picture of your passport. That's like, have you guys seen the movie Taken? That's how the movie Taken started. I'm just kidding, but like technically speaking, like you don't know this guy.
It was like, oh, and by
so one red flag, okay.
the way, here's my phone number. He was like, I've been waiting for you to give this to me for now like weeks. And I said, okay, here you go. Thank you for like inviting me on this trip. So I give him my phone number and he sends me a message and he said, it took you long enough. And I said, oh yeah, well, sorry. I'm just a little bit more reserved when it comes to like dating and men. Like, I just like to make sure like I'm a very intentional person. And he was just so respectful to me. I remember when he was booking the flights and everything, he was like, don't worry, like I'll get you your own hotel room. Like he was just being so respectful. And so I remember our very first phone call so perfectly because it came completely out of the blue. It was like on like a Tuesday, and I'm sitting at my work desk, and he sends me a message. He's like, "Can I call you?" And I was like, "Oh, he wants to call me," and I'm literally discombobulated, freaking out. Like, what am I gonna do when this man actually calls me? But I was like, you need to get together. So he calls me, answer the phone, and he's actually in a cab to the airport. He's about to go on a work trip, and we were just small talking about our day. And I felt like those like butterflies that I felt whenever we had been together at dinner in Croatia. And I remember getting off the phone with him, and I was just sitting there like,
it's so crazy. That passed me when she said Croatia. I love Croatia. Croatia's by far the best place I've ever in my life visited. Awesome people. Food is amazing. It's just the scenic like view. Amazing. I've been to a lot of places. Croatia's my number one. I went to Croatia this year in August. Beautiful. So I can understand how she fell in love in Croatia.
cheesing, like, which I don't ever do. And I was just, this guy is special. And he sent me a message. And he was like, "You are so cute. Like, I love talking to you." And I said, "I love talking to you too." And so basically from that moment on, we just started talking on the phone all the time, like for 1 hour, 2 hours a day. We started talking about a lot of things about
Aloha. Yeah, I've heard about the story, but I wanted to like take it all in first. I can't say too much, Breezy, because a lot of time when people watch things like that, they don't want to like people. They don't like people like me talking too much. Okay, maybe later on after it's done, maybe I can give some analysis. But yeah, only one red flag so far. You're only in part 2. Okay, why would you meet a guy and just send him a picture of your passport? That's insane to me. Okay, that's insane.
a lot of different aspects of our lives. He was telling me that, he was living in Copenhagen. He was living in this condo. Obviously, he knew that I lived in Dallas. And then we started talking about past relationships. And I told him, I was very honest. I said, I actually haven't had like a truly serious relationship before. I have always been a very independent person, but I do want to meet someone. I do want to like get married and have kids, but I don't feel like that pressure to like force it. Like, I have such a great example with my parents, and I really want to have like an amazing love in this lifetime. And so I'm going to take my time to find that. And I asked him, like, what's your history with your dating? And he was like, yeah, well, I actually was in a relationship with a girl, and we were together for about 4 years. And I actually broke up with her about 4 months before I met you. And I said, oh my gosh, like, the 4 years is a long time. He said, yeah, like it needed to happen for a while. And really what happened was that she told him that she was ready to have kids. And
I'm sorry.
And I guess that forced him to realize that she wasn't the one. And they were living together. So it was like a really hard situation to get out of, but he finally was able to do so. And so I was happy to hear that had been about 4 months since they broke up, because if he had said like they had just broken up, I would have been a little bit more hesitant to pursue things, because I know like you go through a breakup, you need time to heal. But I felt like, okay, 4 months should be enough time. And then we started talking about like our families a little bit too. I told him I'm super close with my family. He said I'm really close with my mom and my little sister. I do have an older sister that I don't talk to. And basically something happened, and she was like being like physically abusive, verbally, physically abusive towards his mom. And he decided to cut her out of his life because she's crazy. And I said, listen, I get that. That makes sense. Like, you should not have her in your life. And I think just like over the course of a month, we're talking on the phone for just hours. And I tell people all the time that it felt like we fell in love over the phone, because from the time that I had decided to go to Monaco to the time that I actually left for Monaco, it was a month. And we had this plan that we weren't going to FaceTime at all, because we wanted the next time we saw each other to be in person, which I thought at the time was super romantic. And so, we started talking about like hypotheticals.
Do you guys think that's a red flag? Sorry, I was on mute. I said some few things. Oh man, I don't want to go back, but I'm not sure if you guys heard when I said Croatia is one of the it's one of the best places I've ever been to. The food, the people, the country, beautiful. Is by far the best place I've ever been to. Second is Japan. Okay. And where else? Was pretty good. Yeah, lots of, again, that's not about now, right? But I just think it's, to me, is this a red flag for you guys? You met this person one time and now live in separate countries, and you don't want to try to FaceTime with the person to preserve that, to like have that experience again when you meet the person. I think that's a no-no. I think that's a no-no. I think doing a FaceTime or just being engaged, you get a chance to like see the person, like how they interact with certain things, or just make sure the person is not living with has a wife or a family, right? That's why I personally feel. I think what happens is that she literally was in lust with this guy, and she just let a lot of things down. Right. Again, first red flag to me is the sending a passport. Right. And now not trying to FaceTime to kind of like get a chance to like even see how he reacts or to certain things that you say. Right. Those gives you clues. Right. So.
Remember, he told me one day, he said, you know, if we ever end up getting married, you're going to meet the queen. And I remember just like laughing at that comment. And he said, no, I'm being serious. And I said, what do you mean I'll meet the queen? And he said, well, you know, my family has a royal title. And I was like, wait, what?
Madame, that's why you FaceTime, Madame. To see the titles, Madame. I'm giving her the Nigerian dialect, okay? Madame, this is when you FaceTime, okay? So show me. Don't tell me, show me.
And he sent me this link to this site. It's called the Order of the Elephants. And
okay, I'm jealous that I always butcher her name. I still love her, right? She said it's not a red flag, the fact that like they didn't FaceTime after they initially met, but I feel like for me personally, because of the fact that they live in separate countries, right, and you're still in that learning that's of the person stage, right? Because again, just like she said, like right now it's like he claims he has a title, right? If you claim you have a title and when you turn the camera on, you, again, let's make this the Nigerian like scamming story, right? And I see a hut back there. Again, I'm not trying to attack my own people, right? I see a hut back there. I'm like, what's the title? Like, I feel like it's gonna give you clues and how like he interacts sometimes. Like he may have a whole family back home, right? But he says he has to live in an apartment. You get a chance to kind of see how he lives, right? Be part of his world. That's how I feel like FaceTime is gonna help. Like you literally when I was in the military, right, we didn't have all this tech that we did now, right? When I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, right? But if you have that, it's just a way to like still connect with someone, right? You're cooking, like, let me see what you're cooking kind of thing. I feel like it's going to create a connection because when I was in the military, like we had Skype, and Skype, the connection sucked, right? And now you can go on Instagram, you can go all the social media platform and have your potential partner kind of be there with you, right? Does that make sense? Again, is there a big red flag? Not really, right? But sending your passport to someone you met one time, come on. To me, that's the red flag, right? But this is maybe it's a yellow flag, okay? You still go, but.
Like he said, you can do some research and then we can talk about it. And I said, okay. So I start going through the page that he sent me and I see someone that had the same last name as him, like some old guy from like the 1700s. And I remember taking a screenshot and I said, is this your great great grandpa? And he goes, now you're getting on track. My next question to you is, how's your etiquette? And I was like, I mean, I think it's okay. And so I'm sitting here like, who is this man? He's attractive. He has a great job. He has a royal title. Like, is there anything wrong with him at this point? And I have always believed in the term, it's too good to be true. But I mean,
that Danish man saw her and he decided to scam her for his countrymen because he probably have a Nigerian scammer that targeted someone in his family. And he was doing this for he was doing it just to get a link back. And like, he's talking about all this prince. This is like, seriously, if you're dating someone right now, everyone knows, right? Dating someone like, right, in overseas and talking about their prince and princess, etc. That's a big red flag.
And I was feeling that 100%. Like I felt like, when's the other shoe gonna drop? But it didn't drop that first month.
FYI, I am a prince though.
It was just like we truly fell in love over the phone. And so we are getting closer and closer to the trip to Monaco, and I start packing, and I feel like that's like when the nerves start hitting me, was when I'm packing, like, oh my goodness, this is actually happening. And I remember my sister was like, you need to put air tags in like all your bags. And I'm like, I don't need to put air tags in anything. Like, I trust this man. Like, I know like it's gonna be okay. Like, every part of me felt like so safe with him already, which was crazy because I hadn't really spent much time with him. Maybe this is trauma from being on The Bachelor, I'm not sure. But I felt very safe with him. And so the day comes where I'm supposed to go on the trip. And so I order my Uber, get to the airport, and I felt like it was kind of like a good sign because I posted that I was at DFW, and one of my really good girlfriends texted me that lives in a different state. She was like, hey, I'm actually in DFW too. And I was like, oh my gosh. So she comes, meets me at my terminal. She's like, where are you going? I go, I'm actually going to Monaco to meet this guy that I met in Croatia. And she was Monaco. Like, this is insane. And so I just felt like seeing that friend was like a good sign. I don't know why. And I ended up just boarding the flight. I remember boarding that first flight. I had a layover in Madrid, but boarding that first flight, I was sitting there and I was like, this shit is really happening. And all the nerves are just taking over, but I'm like, take a chill pill. It's gonna be okay. You're gonna get there. It's gonna be fine. And at that point, I was like, okay, the worst thing that happens is like, he's a crazy person and I have enough money where I can like just book my own hotel and I'll just have a good time by myself. Like, it'll be fine. So I like had that backup plan. But yeah, I had my layover in Madrid and then my next flight was to Nice. And so I board my flight to Nice. It was like a really quick flight. And I get to Nice, I land, I get my bags and baggage claim. I sent him a text. I said, I'm here. And I'm rolling both of my bags, about to walk out, freaking out. And let's continue on in part 3.
Let's go. So far, so good. Okay, we're getting there. Okay. Part 3.
The Danish Deception, part 3. Okay, so I'm walking out of baggage claim. I have my bags.
She has a beautiful smile. Is it just me?
And at this,
I see every freeze frame's like still beautiful.
Worst case scenarios are playing in my head. I'm like, what if this whole thing is just gonna be so awkward and we're not gonna have that connection like I think we have? But I also told myself, you're gonna have to figure it out and let's just do this. So I walk out of baggage claim and I'm scanning the scene and I see him. And everything in me feels peace and joy. And I just make a beeline to him. Like, it's one of those, like, I'm walking, but like low-key I'm running. And I finally get to him and he hugs me, but like he picks me off the ground and he's hugging me and I'm hugging him back. And then he puts me down. He looks at me, he goes, hi, Bambi. And that was a nickname he used to call me. And I was like, hi. And we just proceed to make out in the Nice airport for 2 straight minutes. And I am not the type of person to ever do that, but I just felt so much attraction towards him and I just did not care. And I remember that we were in the taxi going to the hotel and we had to put ourselves at like an arm's length because we were just like going at it, like kissing. And I was like, this taxi driver is gonna start feeling super uncomfortable. So we're like, we need to stop. And so we get to the hotel, we check in, we get to the hotel room, and let's just say we had a wonderful time, multiple times. Mom and Dad, I am so sorry for that part. We end up going to.
This is very inappropriate, but I feel like I have to say this. She just said they did it multiple times. I guarantee, I was watching Diddy's documentary. I guarantee they didn't do it for 10 hours. I guarantee they didn't do it for 16 hours. This is very inappropriate. I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say this. I watched the Diddy's documentary, and I feel like writing Diddy like, oh, no, to the adult star, like this dude talk about 18 hours and everything. I'm like, okay, anyway, I should stop now. That's gonna be my commentary on the Diddy's documentary. Okay, we're gonna go places. Okay.
Dinner afterwards, and I just remember sitting here, and I was like, I feel like this is my dream come true being here.
Yeah. Someone said, yeah, Breezy said, yes, beautiful smile, and she continues smiling through the entire traumatic story somehow, right? Yeah. Again, maybe she's just doing it for the cameras, right? Because Because I get it. If she comes over here, start going like, oh, it's me. It's gonna give an image that, oh, you knew, like, for example, the red flag with the passport, right? But at the same time, it's like, I feel like maybe just is how she's gonna tell a story. But I do see something when she tells a story about him, even like the first time, like having sitting next to him, she still have that glitter in her smile. You could just tell she's still elated, right, to like experience that. So that's why I'm very interested now. Again, I have very limited knowledge of what's about to happen. I'm looking forward to like the outcome, okay, of how traumatic it's gonna be. And like, I may become like Breezy, like, how the hell are you smiling? This is a scam. This is a scam. We've been played with, okay? We need Mel to tell her story on Ticket to the Talk, okay? She has a good story to tell.
With you, and he said, I feel like this is my dream come true. Like, I'm so grateful to be here. Like, you're like my dream girl, and you were even better than I remembered if that was even possible. And it just felt like everything was aligning perfectly. And so the next day we had a car rental, so we went to Monaco, and that's where his work event was. And I remember he told me, he's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to bring you to all of the events. And I told him, you know what, I'm going to be in Monaco, so if you can't take me to things, that's fine. I'll just go explore the city. And I remember we get there, and he had like a kickoff event, like first things first when we arrived. And so I wasn't invited. I also didn't really want to go. So he went to that, and I was just like exploring Monaco. And he sends me a message. He said, hey, you're going to be able to come to the event tonight. Do you have something to wear? And I remember being like, I didn't bring anything like for like a professional cocktail party. And he was like, oh, well, we're in Monaco, so you wear whatever. And I said, okay. So I remember I put on this green romper, and we went to this hotel. And I remember being super nervous because I'm used to like networking, but not with like Norwegians and like a bunch of people that aren't like fluent in English, which actually people in Norway, they all are fluent in English. I was very impressed. But I just started talking to different agents because these were all real estate agents, and I'm a realtor. So I felt like I could connect with them so well. And I remember I was talking to this man, me and my ex were talking to this man, and he was like so interested by me. And he said, are you coming to the boat party tomorrow? And I knew there was a boat party coming up the next day, but I also just like assumed I wouldn't be able to go. And I said, well, I looked at my ex, I go, I don't know, like, am I? And my ex looks at me, he goes, well, you're talking to the CEO, so I think that's fine. I said, oh. The CEO was like, yeah, I'd love for you to come. And he was just so nice. And I met so many great people, and also just watching him in his element working, and he's just so charming and charismatic, and everyone, when people talk to him, they're just so fascinated by him, like I was. And so we had a great night, and then the next day was a boat party, and I remember I was just hanging out on the boat, again, just watching him go talk to all these big customers, and I didn't understand a word he was saying, but I just felt like he just looked like he was super smart. And later on that night, I remember they had another event, and I wasn't invited to that event, which is fine, but I came and met up with him afterwards, and we got drinks. And the next day we decided to head to Saint-Tropez. And I remember we get to the hotel in Saint-Tropez. This hotel is so nice. I've stayed in 5-star hotels before, but like I've never stayed in like 5-star hotels that are like a full suite with like private pool. And I like looked up the room, and it was like 1,500 to like 2,000 euros a night. And I'm like absolutely not used to this. And I remember telling him that, because I'm not the type of person to like walk into something like this and be like, oh yeah, like I'm used to this stuff. I'm not gonna be fake. So I told him like, I am not used to staying in hotels like this, or like especially specifically suites like this. And he was like, well, you know, while we're together, I want you to know, like, I want to give you the world. And I was like, thank you so much. Like, I feel so grateful. And I remember telling him that in that moment. And later on that night, we go to L'Opera, and we're having a wonderful time, drinking great wine, having the food. And if you've been to L'Opera in Saint-Tropez, it's very much a party restaurant. Like, you have dancers on the tables. It's like, it's a party scene, but like, you know, that's also like kind of like my vibe when I'm like, you know, have a couple of drinks in me.
A lot of parties going on. So she drinks, so a lot of alcohol involved, right? Yeah, it's So far, so good. Again, this is part of the introduction of the relationship, right?
And we're sitting at dinner and he's talking to me about his mom and talking about how he's so protective over her and how much he loves her and how he like would do anything for her. And I remember just like looking at him and just being like, this is like everything I want in a man. If a man is going to treat his family with respect, the chances of him treating your family with respect are so much higher. And I just felt like I saw his heart, and it just made me just fall for him even more than I had already. And I guess my thoughts had translated to my face because he picked up on some expression and he was like, what is it? And I was like, nothing. He said, tell me. I go, nothing. And then he grabs my face and he pulls it close to him. He goes, tell me. And I say, I'm in love with you. And then I started bawling my eyes out at La Opera in Central Park. And this was a sweet moment, but it was also very uncomfortable and embarrassing because all the workers are all thinking that I'm getting dumped right now when I'm really just falling in love for the first time and like don't know how to control my emotions. And I remember just like bawling my eyes out and being like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what this feeling is. Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, and he's just sitting there smiling and he's like, this is like one of the best nights of my life. And he looked at me, he goes, I want to say it back to you, but I also want to have my own special moment, so I'm not going to do it right now. And I said, thank you, God, because I would not want you to tell me right now. And honestly, never in a million years did I think that I would say I love you first to him, but he pulled it out of me and I felt it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to say it. And I did. And it felt so good. And I remember we went back to the hotel that night, got some sleep, and the next morning we went to Bagatelle and we had just like a beach day. And I used to tell everyone that this was the best day of my life because we spent the whole day just swimming and laughing and eating and having such a great time. And I just thought to myself, like, I could do this forever. And like, I also thought to myself, like, I don't care if we're on a couch in Dallas, Texas. Like, I just want to be around him.
I want to know how old she is. Just curious.
All the time. And so that night we go to dinner and I remember just asking him, what are the things
I sense a lot of naivete when it comes to her, but I'm just curious
that you think are important as we like enter into this relationship. And he told me, if you give me respect and loyalty, I will give you the world. And I told him I can do that. And then I told him, there's a few things you should know. Number one, your money is great, but it's the cherry on top of a great sundae. You could lose it all tomorrow and I would not go anywhere. Like, the money is just like this little added benefit, but I love you for you. I'm here for who you are as a person, not the money. Also, cheating is 100% a deal breaker for me. I just feel like I always need to like put that out there. I don't care if we've been married for 15 years with 4 kids, I will leave. I will not put up with cheating. And also, my family is my world. I'm a warrior for my family and friends. And please don't ever put me in a position where I have to choose, because like I love my family so much, and that would be a situation that would cause me so much pain, and I just would never want to be in that position. He said, I understand completely, and I love that about you. So we set those ground rules, and the next day.
Yes. Having that on reciprocated, I love you hanging out there is awkward. Well, I'd rather he tell the truth though, right? Than just like, because a real, that's what I'm trying to sense. If he's a player, if he's just gaming her to being a gigolo, or like his genuine feeling is real, right? So far, I'm getting the fact that like his genuine feeling is real, right? So that's why I'm very interested to hear his side of the story. So the fact that he didn't say it there, a player would have just said, yeah, I feel the same way too. Like the fact that he's waiting for it again, because people fall in love in different pace, right? And you can tell with her, it looks like you can't convince her. Like it was love at first sight, right? And for him, it may not be that. I mean, it takes a build up to get there, right? So it's rather him say when he's genuinely feel that, right? Than just like saying it kind of like just to say because she said it, right? So can you imagine? That means a guy can just come to you now too, like tell you I love you, right? And now if you don't say anything, it's like, well, if you don't really feel that way, do you feel like you should be forced to say that just because he said it, right? So I'm not seeing it as a red flag thus far, but we'll see, because I'm still trying to gauge him too. If this is the story that she's gonna tell, it's really just based on her point of view, or is he really a player, or everything she's gonna probably allege that he did? Because we know how it started in the beginning, but let's see.
We go to Cannes, and I remember that first day in Cannes, we're having a great time. We went to the beach for a little bit, and then we decided we're gonna go shopping. And he tells me, you can pick out whatever you want to buy, you can get it. So we're going to like Cartier, we're going to Chanel, we go to Dior. I see this yellow bag I fall in love with, but I felt so uncomfortable because I don't want this man to think that I'm with him for his money. And I didn't want him to feel like I was using him. So I remember just being like, oh, it's okay. Like, I love this purse, but I was like, it's just okay. And we end up going to Dolce & Gabbana, and I pick out this nice pair of $200 sunglasses. And he looks at me, he goes, dang, you're cheap. And I said, I'm a simple girl, even though I wanted the Dior bag. But I wanted him to know that I was there for the right reasons. Oh my gosh, bachelor trauma is still kicking in. And so later that night, we decided to go to dinner, and we're eating dinner, and I go to the bathroom, and I had myself a fall going to the bathroom, going up the stairs, and everything went black. And I will continue on the series in part 4. The Danish.
She's very dramatic, and I love it. Part 4. Let's go.
The Danish Deception, part 4. Okay, just to recap, we went to Monaco, then we went to Saint-Tropez, and we ended the trip in Cannes.
Yes.
And the very last night we had together, we were at dinner, and I'm walking to go to the bathroom, and I fall, and everything goes black. And let me tell you, I am a clumsy person. I know I'm a clumsy person. I'm always tripping over myself. And that day specifically, I had been tripping over my dress pretty frequently throughout the day. But I've never had like a serious accident before like this. And it was completely out of the blue. I was walking up the stairs, and I remember walking up the stairs, and the stairs in France are extremely narrow. If you've been, then you definitely would probably agree with me. And so I basically came to after falling, hitting my head, and I see these 3 men above me, and they're wearing like these bright turquoise polos. And I remember that they were the waiters. That was what they were wearing. And I remember just like coming awake and being like, what the fuck is happening? But no one was speaking any English. They're all like screaming in French, freaking out. And so I pass out again, then I come to again. And finally I'm able to say, someone go get my boyfriend. And then I pass out again, then I come to again. And then my ex is sitting next to me, and I see him, and I'm like, what is going on? He's like, I don't know what happened. I think you fell. And I'm like, I don't remember anything. I don't know what happened. And he
she's 31 years old.
Looked at me. He goes, do you have a history with epilepsy? I'm like, epilepsy? No, I don't have any history with that. I was like, why? He said, because you've been having seizures for the past 10 minutes. And I was like, seizures? I have never, ever had a seizure in my life. So this was shocking news. But I also wasn't like all the way there. So I was just so confused at what was happening. And I remember touching my head, and then I looked at my hand, and there was so much blood. And then I like started looking around, and everything felt wet. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was going to the bathroom. So I look at him and I ask him, I'm like, is this pee? He was like, no, they just like dumped water on you. And I was like, okay. And so they basically told us that because the streets in Cannes are so narrow, they couldn't bring an ambulance. It had to be a fire truck, which I didn't care. I just wanted to get to the hospital. So these firemen come and they get me up, and I stand up, I look down, look at the puddle of water. Then I smell my dress. I go, oh my gosh, this is urine. So you're telling me that I've been dating this man for 3 days, and he is now sitting in a pool of my urine and my blood, watching me have seizures. I was just I couldn't believe that this was the reality of what was happening. I get into the truck, and they take us to the hospital, and I'm still freaking out at this point because I literally don't know if I have like a severe brain bleed or what's going on. And they take us into the waiting room, and they're about to take us back. And I remember the nurse said that my ex couldn't go back with me because they still had super strict restrictions from COVID. So he had to wait in the waiting room. And I remember just freaking out because no one is speaking English at this point. And I don't know what to do. I'm so terrified. I feel so alone. And I remember just looking at him and he could just see the fear in my eyes. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. He's like, just stay calm. I was like, okay. And he ends up leaning into me before they tell him that it's time to go. And he tells me, before you go, I just wanted to tell you that I love you. And I just remember being like,
that boy's a Mac. That boy's a Mac. Oh, that boy's a Mac. Mac daddy. Yeah, okay, let's carry forward.
Really? Here of all places?
Exactly.
He was like, yeah, I wanted to tell you. And I said, I mean, I was so grateful to hear it from him, but also I was like, are you only telling me this because you think I'm about to die? And so a lot of things were going through my head, and I ended up going back, getting a CT scan. They ended up saying, hey, everything's good. You just have a severe concussion, hence why I had seizures. And they're like, you're gonna have to get 4 stitches in your eyebrow. You guys can kind of see the scar. I'm wearing makeup, so you can't really tell. So after I get my stitches, I go back out to the waiting room and I see my ex, and I automatically just feel this sense of protection and safety because he made me feel so calm, and I was just so grateful to him. And if you watched the Who the Fuck Did I Marry series, I truly believe that this whole experience was the equivalent to Risa Tisa's tire blowout before she met her ex-husband. And God was telling me to run far away from this man. My bad on misinterpreting this message.
This is only part 4. I'm doing the Birdman rub, okay? Again, I'm not having fun over whatever she's gonna go through, okay? She's smiling, so I'm smiling too, okay? She's showing her beautiful smile, okay? So I'm just trying to show my not so beautiful smile, okay? But so don't think, oh man, I'm basically being happy while she's gonna be telling this miserable story that we're gonna get a good entertainment out of. But
and I just thought that this was God's way of telling me that this man's gonna keep me safe, and clearly that wasn't the case. But we leave the hospital and we go back to the hotel. And obviously I couldn't sleep because I had a severe concussion. So we just stayed up talking all night. And the next day I went to go get all my prescriptions, and then we went to the airport, and it was a really, really tough goodbye because I was just so sad to say goodbye to him. And he had already booked a flight to come visit me in Dallas in 10 days. He booked it before I even went to Monaco because he told me he was so sure of me.
wait a minute. I feel she's going to tell us he had something to do with her fall. You think so? Interesting. Because I'm just trying to take it thus far as face value, okay? We'll see.
And of us. And so I knew I was going to see him in a little bit over a week, but it just wasn't enough. And I just wanted to be with him 24/7.
I should have had popcorn.
But I said my goodbyes to him, and I was like, you know what? It's going to be okay. I'm going to see him soon. Hopped on the plane and went back to Dallas. And it was really difficult to come home for multiple reasons. The biggest reason was that I had to tell my parents that not only did I have this crazy accident, but I also am in love with this man that lives in Denmark. And that's just not a easy conversation to have with the Nigerian parents.
Oh no.
And if you know Nigerian parents, or if you have Nigerian parents, you can already assume how this unfolded. Obviously, they support me and they love me and they're a wonderful parent.
He's a scammer.
But they were also scared and like, what are you telling me right now? But I dropped the ball, and over time, like,
can you imagine telling Nigerian parents that a Danish man scammed you? Can you imagine telling them like he's a scammer? That's funny.
They were so supportive of me and my decisions. I will say the bigger challenge was healing from the head injury, because I was just doing crazy ass shit. Like, I remember I got into the shower with my socks on, and then I ran out the door with my bonnet on, chasing Smokey through the streets because I thought he ran away, even though he was inside the house. And to this day, I still think I have lingering effects because I'll add all these filler words, and like what I want to say in my head, I think it, but I can't figure out the words sometimes. And it's very frustrating at times, and you will notice it throughout the series. And it's not something I used to do, but overall, I'm fine. My brain's fine.
Stress. Lots. There was a job I was doing, right? I worked so long, so many hours in that job, right? That I started experiencing some of the things that she would say. Like I would want to say candy and I would say a different word, right? But it all came down to stress. And I'm talking about I was working till like 11 o'clock, right? I'll wake up at 4 o'clock, right? So I can be at the site. And it was ridiculous. And that was my dream job. And I had to like leave. I'm like, was good pay and everything, but it was just the amount of stress that I was doing. It was just like, it was not healthy. That I was mixing my words up. It was really bad. So
obviously we're talking on the phone.
I can go in further, but like follow my my fitness journey. Then I may talk about that one day.
Every single day because, you know, we're in a relationship, and he calls me and he says, hey, I'm considering offering on this apartment complex in Copenhagen. And we had talked about his real estate investments back in the south of France. He had told me that he owned 3 apartments in Copenhagen, 2 of which were rented out, one of which he was occupying as his personal residence. And this apartment complex he was interested in had 34 units. And then there was a top floor that was unfinished and it could be converted to 10 penthouses. And he said, it's fully rented out. It would be such a great investment. The cash flow is great. The only thing is that it's going to take up a lot of my cash liquidity and also like stocks and crypto and everything. And obviously I'm going to be traveling to the States and I want to be mindful of like finances. That's why I like want to bring it up to you. So what do you think? And I said, well, at this point we had been dating for like a couple weeks. So I didn't feel like I was in a place where I could insert my opinion. So I told him like, whatever you think, I'll support you. And I also didn't know jack shit about real estate investments in Copenhagen. And also I had just gone to the south of France with him. That whole entire trip, I had spent 15 euros the entire trip. I tried to pay for stuff. He would not take a dime from me. So at this point, I like almost am like searching for a way to prove to him that I'm not with him for his money. So I told him, I go, if I need to, you know, take on some more of like the financial responsibilities in this relationship, I'm more than happy to do so because this is a partnership and you're there for me when I need you. And I'm going to be there for you when you need me. And he said, you know, I appreciate you saying that, but I don't think it's going to come to that. But thank you for saying that. I said, of course. So he offers on it and his offer wins apparently by like 1,000 euros. And he decides he's going to move forward with this property maybe a couple days before he came to visit me in Dallas. And I was fully supportive of him buying this property 100% because he's a successful businessman. And
the prince is coming to America. The Danish prince is coming to America.
And if he thinks this is a smart move, then I trust him. And also the money was a whole separate other thing. I didn't care. All I cared about was being with him. So he's coming to Dallas and I'm getting excited, not just because he's coming to see me, but this is a trip where he's going to start to meet my people and it's getting real. And so I remember he was flying into Dallas. It's the middle of September. And I made this sign. It said, welcome to Dallas, my Danish man. And I'm waiting outside baggage claim, waiting for him to get through customs. And I'm holding this sign super high, waiting for him to come through. And I will continue the rest in part 5.
Coming to America. Is he going to make it? Part 5.
Danish deception, part 5. Okay, so he comes out of the baggage claim past customs and I see him and immediately I'm hit with a realization that I've got it so bad. And if you've never been in love before, falling in love for the first time is like getting swallowed by a current and you don't even know it's there and you're good one moment and then before you realize it, you're in deep and there's nothing you can do to control it. And that's how I felt. And I knew this man has the power to destroy me. And that was exhilarating, but also terrifying at the same time. And I was just really excited to integrate him with my people. And most importantly, I was excited for him to meet Smokey, who is just my world. And watching the way he was with Smokey, they instantly became best friends and Smokey grew really attached to him. And I mean,
says, oh my God, I bet he stood her up. And yeah, I stand corrected. No. So far, what I'm gauging, I haven't said so far, I feel like this is a long play, right? But at the same time, he may be a traditional guy. That's why he's not like again, she came to visit him, so he should take care of her, right? So I got that, right? So, but the way, because if she never told us that like this is gonna end terribly, I wouldn't have like gotten any red flag. Like, okay, this is a long play that he's gonna do. He's gonna act like he has it, right? Get her in, trap her, and then on the long term, he's gonna get way more money than she's gonna get from him. Okay, that's a long play. Okay, but that's what I think is gonna happen because again, she already told us in the beginning, this is not gonna be a Disney love story, right? We expect to see some Netflix drama going on.
I knew I had fallen in love with him, but I realized I hadn't even scratched the surface when I saw him with Smokey. And so we did a lot of things that trip. So we went to a Cowboys game. We went to a retirement party for a partner at my accounting firm. We went to a couple dinners. And then we also just stayed at home. I cooked a lot. I remember I made him red stew and rice, which is my favorite Nigerian food. It's a staple. And I put a lot of habanero peppers. And I remember being nervous, like, can he handle spice? And he ate it and he loved it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this white boy loves spice. This is perfect. And everything just felt like, again, it felt like everything was aligning. And so I wanted to plan something special for him to meet all of my close friends and family. And so I was like, oh, well, maybe we can go meet for a drink. And he said, like, we can go out to eat.
I keep saying this. She's naturally very beautiful.
Pay for everything. I was like, are you sure? He said, absolutely. So I planned a brunch, and we went to brunch here in Dallas, and it was a handful of my really close friends, and my two sisters were there, and my cousin and his now wife was there too. So we sit down at brunch, and everyone's like asking him questions, and everyone is just so impressed by him. Again, we're dealing with someone that's very charming, very charismatic, and the thing about my ex is when you meet him, he's so good at asking questions, and he's good at listening, and so it's really easy to get into good conversation with him, and it's really easy to connect with him. And so we had a great brunch. I remember I was like in the bathroom and my friends followed me and they're like, oh my gosh, he's amazing. Like, we're so happy for you. And I just, I was so grateful to call him mine. And so after brunch, we go grab a drink at a place nearby the restaurant. And at that point, we're all just kind of like chit-chatting, and my cousin and my ex are having a conversation. And this cousin is like a second brother to me. We're very, very close. And I desperately wanted to get the stamp of approval from him. And so obviously they're shooting their shit, and I'm eavesdropping on the conversation 100%. And because I can. And I'm like overhearing them just like, talking about random stuff. And then I hear my cousin ask him, you just have the build of an athlete. Did you play sports? And my ex goes, yeah, I actually played handball. And my cousin goes, isn't that an Olympic sport? And my ex goes, yeah, I actually went to the Olympics twice. And I immediately inserted myself into the conversation. I go, you went to the Olympics? What? He goes, you know what? I was like the backup of the backup. I didn't even play. I don't like to brag about it because I don't think it's that big of a deal. I was like, well, did you get medals? He was like, yeah, I have
Listen. I used to watch this show, Married at First Sight, right? And I told someone this before. You get to a certain age, she's in her 30s. Everyone you meet at this age, in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, you're meeting professionals. Every single one of them. You're meeting professional liars, professional scam artists, professional cheaters. Some of them are graduate students, okay? So that's what people say, like, hey, take people, like, if someone tells you who they are, like, believe them, right? Because you get to that age where, like in the movies, people say, when this person is not looking at you, and they do, no, that's all nonsense, right? In this game, right, of relationship, etc., right, you get to a certain age, you meet professionals, okay? All that little, like, sci-fi movie, all the, like, YouTube stuff that you watch about how someone lies, it doesn't apply to them, right? They're graduate students. Some of them are graduate students, okay? Professional liars, professional cheaters, professional gigolos, professional everything you could think of. So the idea that she's like, again, that's why I guarantee he probably was never in there, right? And the idea he just lies so easily goes by what I'm saying. You meet a lot of professionals at your 30s and 40s and 50s, okay? And yeah, they're good at it. You would think if I was in the Olympics or any kind of like thing like that, yeah, I will let you know. That's something you want to bring up, right? And not wait till a family member kind of asks a question, right?
I got a bronze and I got a gold. I was like, well, that's amazing. Like, I'm so impressed. And so now I'm thinking, this man is so humble. So let's add humble to the list of all the reasons why he's such an amazing man. So obviously we had a wonderful trip. He came to Dallas again. I did not spend any money while he was here. I obviously like paid money for groceries when he wasn't around, but other than that, he wanted to pay for everything. He didn't even want me to like pay for ice cream, like small things. He was like, I want to treat you. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So I remember he was leaving to go back to Denmark and I was so depressed. And if anyone has been in a long distance relationship, you know how difficult it is to say goodbye. And so I was so depressed and I'm saying goodbye to him at the airport. I'm bawling my eyes out. We finally say goodbye. He goes through security. I go home and I just am crying for like hours. I'm so depressed. And I remember I was supposed to go to a birthday party that night and I texted my friend. I was like, I literally cannot stop crying, so I can't go to this birthday. And I hate canceling things. And so that's how bad it was. I was actually depressed for literally days. And after he got through security, he was like, I can't even walk to the terminal. Like, I'm so depressed. Like, I just want to walk back out and just come back to you. And I was like, I want that too. And he said, you know, we need to start having the hard conversations on like what we want for the future. And I said, absolutely. And so he was like, you know, we need to decide whether or not we're going to live in Denmark or live in Dallas. And I still can't believe this came out of my mouth, but I told him, I said, listen, I know you already have like a very much established career. And so if you want me to move to Denmark, I'm more than happy to have that conversation with you and like discuss it. And he said, you know, looking at you with your friends and your family this past week has made me realize that I don't want to take that away from you. And you're really close with your parents, they're driving distance away. And like, I live in Copenhagen, my family lives in my hometown in Aalborg, which is hours away. I don't have family in Copenhagen. And I want us to be around family, especially like if we're talking about having kids one day. Like, I want that support and I want you to be around the people that you love. And so I was so happy because realistically, I did not want to move to Denmark. And so I was so happy that this man is willing to give up everything to be with me. So I was so excited about that. So he was gone for about 3 weeks to a month at this point, and he hadn't booked his flight back to Dallas yet. And then he booked it on like a Thursday, I remember it. So now we're in the middle of October of 2022. He books his flight and he said, okay, I'm coming next week, Wednesday. And I said, okay, perfect. And I'm getting all excited again. And so I called him Friday morning, and keep in mind that there's a time difference. So it's like about 7 hours. So whenever I wake up at like 5 or 6, he's basically halfway through his day. And so I called him that Friday and I said, hey, like, how's your day been? He's like, it's been such a stressful, intense day. I go, what happened? And he's like, I found out that the apartment complex that I bought is dealing with some major foundation issues. Like, it could affect safety of the tenants, and I'm really stressing out and I need to get it fixed. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, did you schedule the repair? He's like, not yet. It's going to cost like a hefty chunk of change. I was like, how much is it going to cost? He's like, $50,000. I was like, $50,000? What? Like, that's obviously a lot of money. I'm sure it's a lot of money to a lot of you. It's a lot of money to me. And so I was like, okay, like,
I would have been like, you got a prince.
What's the plan?
What's 50K to a prince, right?
He's like, I mean, I have a good portion of it, so I just need to ask my dad for a little bit of a loan. And so I remember being like, I could never in a million years ask my dad for a loan of $50,000. So at this point, I was aware of the fact that like they had this royal title, they had this family trust that like, and like the family had money. I didn't really know like how much or the details behind it. But he told me he was gonna call his dad and ask him for a loan. So a couple hours go by, he calls me and he's really upset. He's like, I talked to my dad on the phone. He will not loan me the money. He says, I've been acting super irresponsible, traveling, doing all these things. And so he just doesn't wanna, he thinks I need to like learn from my actions. And if I'm not prepared for something like this, then there's nothing he can do to help me. And so I felt really bad for him because he essentially felt like his dad was abandoning him, and I felt really bad for him. And so I said, what's the plan? He's like, I'll figure it out. Like, even if I have to like sell some things, like, I'll figure it out. And I was like, okay, well, keep me updated, like whatever you need. And so a couple days go by and he's communicating that he's still stressed out about coming up with this money. And so I said, you know what? Like, I can loan you the money. And so at this point, I had paid off my student loans, paid off my car, bought a house. Like, I was had a decent savings. I was in a really, really good financial position. And so I wanted to help him, especially because like this man has like treated me so well and done so much for me. And I truly felt like we were in a partnership, especially like when you're talking about the future with someone. And so I told him like, let me loan it to you. He goes, I would never in a million years borrow money for you. And I was like, it's okay. Like, I don't mind.
Okay. What is the most money you've borrowed somebody? All right. Someone borrowed, you borrowed someone or you've gotten from someone, right? If she says 5 grand, 10 grand, I got it, break even, 50K, my brother, 50K. Let's keep going. I think now it's gonna start getting interesting, right?
Helping. He's like, that's like not even a discussion I want to have. And I said, okay, that's fine. So a couple of days go by and he's still stressing out about coming up with this money. I asked him like, how much do you need? He's like, it's 10,000 I need. And I was like, again, like, let me loan it to you. He said, no, I'm not taking money from you. And then
wait, the total was 50 grand and he just needs 10. Okay, so see, I like what he did there. I like what he did there.
A couple days go by and he says, okay, like now I need 6K. And I was like, okay, again, let me give it to you. He's like, no, I still don't want to take money from you. Okay. And then basically like the day, like 2 days before he's supposed to come to Dallas, he tells me, he says, just letting you know, I'm not be able to come to Dallas because I need to figure out this issue. And I'm at this point I start freaking out because I'm like, no, like I 100% like want you to come still. Just let me loan you the money so that you'll be fine and we can, you know, be happy and be together. And so after some thinking, he was like, okay, fine, I will borrow the money from you, but you have to promise me that this will be the only time and that you're 100% comfortable with giving me this money. And I said, absolutely, I'm 100% comfortable. And we will continue on in part 6.
Okay, part 6. Everyone get ready. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Part 6.
The Danish deception, part 6. Okay, so I've decided.
I will say one thing though. I noticed all that cheesing and everything is going down when we talk about money now. She started up talking extremely. She was cheesing like the Joker, right? But now money talk, I feel like the smile is going away, okay?
I decided to loan him this money and he's agreed to it. So I download this app, it's called Revolut, and it's kind of like Venmo where you can send money internationally instantly.
Yes, I think for a successful businessman who's a whole prince, and a Danish prince, right? That shouldn't be hard to get, right? Get a hand on, right? Without borrowing from your girlfriend. Yeah, get a loan. That's what the business prince person should do. They should have some kind of line of credit, right, from a bank where you can pull from, right? Yeah, that's the first thing. She should ask him. It sounded like I was listening to so many things that she does, right? Because it sounded like she comes from a very educated background. That's why I'm listening to some of the things that she participated in, and she was saying some few things about her career. And I'm like, okay, this is someone who knows, right? And if he doesn't have access to some kind of line of credit, right, and he proclaims to be someone that he is, right, that should have been a red flag for her. But let's keep going.
So I download it. It took like a day to like verify all my information, and I was able to send him the 6K. And the next day, he flew into Dallas to come be with me.
Oh, perfect. Oh, it's only 6K. Okay. Let's be fair, guys. Let's be fair. Let's be 100% fair now. Come on, everyone. Okay. If you were in her shoes, would you not have lent the 6K? You meet someone that literally just take you out of your feet. Like, you have you cheesing at 30-something years old, right? 6K, I would have done it. I'm sorry, I would have done it. I'm not going to come right here standing, yeah, no. 6K, and she's done this, and this. Oh, that's it. That we have to have an endpoint. 6K is not bad, okay? So let's keep going, okay? I would have done it. I would honestly 100% would have done it, okay? But again, if I meet someone, start dating them, right? And I'm not talking about the way the way she feels about him, right? It's not like a normal situation where you meet someone, try to find out. She looks like she was literally just like just out there for him, right? So in that situation, if I've experienced that with someone, absolutely I would have done it. No questions asked. Right? Mostly it's not just like a boyfriend, girlfriend. It's like we want to make this work. She's in a financial position where she could have access to that $6,000, right? So she's not like she's taking out a loan or have to like sell this or like do some strange things for a little bit of change. You know what I'm saying? She didn't have to do that, right? So in that situation that she has access to that money, I would have done the exact same thing she did. I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
And so that trip was really fun. We really didn't do a whole lot. I remember we just like went to the state fair and we went to dinner like once, and the rest of the time we just hung out at home. And I remember it was hard for him because he was dealing with some really bad back pains. And I think it was just because he was flying a lot, and he said he injured his back when he was playing handball. So I remember I was giving him like back massages like almost every single day because it was really, really bad. And so this trip was very, very short. He was only there for a week, but I would say this was a very special trip for us because this was like the first time that he actually started making friends, like through me. And I started watching him start to make guy friends. And so this was when I got even more excited because I felt like we were really starting to, build a life here in Dallas together. So he leaves, obviously, again, I'm depressed again. And at this point, I know he's definitely planning on coming to Dallas for Thanksgiving to meet my parents. But I didn't know when he was planning on flying back. And so basically he's gone, and I feel like the second he leaves, like everything just kind of like starts to like fall apart for him. And so for starters, his back pain was getting like much, much worse. He's complaining about it every single day. Like he would text me in the middle of the night being like, it hurts so bad. Like, and I felt terrible because I wanted to help him, but there was nothing I could do because I'm living 5,000 miles away. On top of that, his uncle, who was really sick with cancer, had passed away, and he told me the funeral was gonna be the next week. And I remember telling him, I will fly to Denmark if I need to, if you want me to be there for you. And he's like, no, it's fine. Like I can handle it. It's okay. And so basically that happened. And then I remember I went to Charlotte to go visit one of my girlfriends who had just had a baby. One of my girlfriends that I've been friends with for years and years since college. And so I'm in Charlotte with my friend, and I get a text from him. He's saying, hey, my dad's in the hospital. And I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? And he was like, we still don't understand what happened, but the doctors are running tests. And so later on that day, he told me that he had blood poisoning, and he had like, his infection numbers were like going crazy. And I remember telling him, well, if you're not able to come to Dallas in November, obviously I'll understand, especially like if your dad's in the hospital, like I understand completely. Again, I told him, I'll be there for you if you want me to. He's like, it's okay. Over the course of the next couple days, his dad started to show some more improvement. So he ended up deciding to come to visit me in Dallas. So now we're in November of 2022. So he comes back to Dallas, and basically this was a very exciting trip because number one, I used to be on the board of an organization called UIU. It's a nonprofit that celebrates Igbo Nigerian culture, and my culture is so important to me. And so I was the event coordinator for the Dallas chapter, and I was so proud of this. Like, we had just won chapter of the year out of all the chapters in the nation. It was just such a huge accomplishment for me and my whole board. And I remember my cousin, who I told you guys I'm really close with, he was the president. And so we had a huge gala that we planned that year, and we had people flying in from all over the country to come. And obviously it took a lot of planning, and I was working really hard to make sure it was executed perfectly. I remember the day of the gala comes, and he is helping me set up, do everything that entire day. And this was the first time that I fully integrated him with a bunch of Nigerians. And I was really curious to see how he was gonna react to being with all these people, because obviously Nigerians are so much fun, but some people might think we're a little bit too much. Forget them, but I wanted to make sure that he wasn't one of those people. So we have the gala, he helps me set up all day, and I'm just kind of watching him at the gala, just talking to people, and he's getting along with everyone. He's dancing to the Afro beats, and I just feel like, okay, he really takes my...
We need to I'm going to find more the videos that she probably deleted. Let's see if we can find some of those pictures back, okay? And those videos back. I'm interested now. So I am going to have a follow-up to this story, okay? After I do a live reaction to it.
My culture, seriously, he wants to make sure that I know that he's gonna make sure this is a part of his life too. And I remember just being really happy about that. And so after the gala was done, it was a couple days and my parents came to visit me in Dallas for Thanksgiving. And so I remember he went to go stay at a hotel because my parents, obviously, they're Nigerian, very traditional. We wanted to be respectful. So he went and stayed at a hotel and my parents came to visit, and he was here when my parents got in town. And I'm telling you, my parents fell in love with him immediately. And I think watching him with my dad it just warmed my heart because they just instantly connected. And my dad, like everyone else, was very fascinated by him. And I remember the following day we went to African market with my parents. It was just me, my ex, and my parents. And he's talking to my parents about the Olympics, and they're asking him all these questions. And he was like, yeah, like the gold medal I gave to my mom, she has it. And then the bronze medal, I actually donated it to charity. And I'm just like, this guy is just so freaking amazing. And so we had an amazing Thanksgiving. It was his first Thanksgiving in the States. And my grandmother had recently just passed away. And this is my dad's mom. It was really, really sad. And he was talking to us about the plans for the burial. And so he said, we're going to do the burial in May. It's going to be in the village in Nigeria. And he looks at my dad and he says, I'll be there. And I remember looking at him like, I don't think you really understand what you're agreeing to. And he said, I don't care. I'm going to be there. I'm like, we're talking about the village in Nigeria. We're not just talking about like a big city where you can get a little bit of culture shock where you like, you know, or go back to your hotel. And no, we're talking about being in the village. And he said,
village, you take a shower outside. The village in Nigeria is what like America portrays like the whole Nigeria looks like. Okay, the village is the village. They don't. There's no like. There is no like modern like amenities over there. There's none of that. It's you take a shower outside. They do have goats and everything out there and all that stuff. It's the village is the village. Yeah, it's different.
I don't care. I'm going to be there. And so that was when I realized like this man really takes my culture seriously. He wants to be there for me. He wants to be there for my family. And that meant so much to me. And so.
Yes. Did he ever take a pic with the medals, right? That he could have shown her, if not red flag. But that's the thing though. Even now, she said what, 2022, 2023. A real scammer, that's why I glanced over that stuff, because a real scammer can forge everything. Now with AI, oh, forget it. I can say President Obama is my best friend with AI and make videos and take pictures to show you that. Okay, that's why I kind of glance over that because. Again, you're meeting professionals at a certain age. 30s, 40s, and 50s, those are pros. Some of them have PhD, some of them have graduate level of like the fuckery to get into. That's why I kind of glance over it because a real scammer, he said, yeah, there's a picture right here, and he forge it. So that's why I'm trying to look for other ways you can verify, like, hey, whatever he did say that he did, is actually legit.
At the end of the trip, I told him, I said, this week has showed me that I know that I want to spend my life with you. And I'm just, thank you for being the man that you are. And he said, I want to spend my life with you. And I'm going to let you know, Lord. I already know that I want to marry you someday. Like, and I don't want you to ever doubt that. And so he asked me, he's like, I have a question. Like, do you have an idea of what ring you would want? And I was like, I mean, I have some ideas, but I have not thought about it really extensively. And so he said, what are your thoughts on us going ring shopping? And keep in mind, at this point, we've been dating for like 4 months. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. So we found a jeweler. We went and we tried on some rings. I remember I'm trying on lab grown and natural. And I'm like looking at the price differences. And I'm like, I am not allowing you to buy me a natural stone because that number is just crazy. I'd rather us spend money investing, doing other things. And he said, well, let me look into it because I kind of do want to get you natural. And I was like, no, we're getting a lab grown. And I remember like if you've, gone ring shopping, the price difference is like astronomical. And so I remember I picked out a ring that I really liked, and then we left, and that was basically the end of like the rings for that moment. And so he goes back to Denmark, and the plan was for me to go on a trip with him for Christmas. As I mentioned previously, my parents were traveling for Christmas, and him and his older sister do not have a relationship. Like, they can't be in intimate settings together, so they alternate Christmases. Like, he had last Christmas, so this Christmas was her Christmas. So we already had planned to spend Christmas together.
Thanks for the
And
follow,
so,
you legend.
Originally, we were talking about
Keep
going to
being
South
awesome.
Africa, like I mentioned before,
Big
and then
shout
we
out
started
to
looking
Kevin
at flights,
for the
and he was
follow.
like, "It's a long trip. I
You
only
rock,
want to fly
dude.
business," and they were like $12,000
Let's blow
round
this
trip.
up.
And he's like, "Well, maybe we can make
Hey,
it work." I was
Kevin.
like, "We are not spending that much on
Thanks
flights
for
to
hitting
South
that
Africa. That's not
follow.
happening." And so I
You're
started
the
looking at
real
other flights, and
MVP.
then we talked about maybe going to
Let's get this party started.
Sorry, my AI's acting up.
Brazil, and then he tells me, okay, make an itinerary and look at hotels and flights and everything and send it to me, and I'll book it. We're gonna go to Brazil. I said, okay, sounds good. So I wake up one day, I said, hey, did you book the travel? And he was like, no, I haven't, but there's something I need to talk to you about. I go, what's up? He goes, so I talked to a doctor because my back has gotten really, really bad, and it turns out I have 2 herniated discs and I'm gonna need to get surgery. And I said, okay, like, that's fine. And he said, I'm gonna have to get surgery December 21st. And I said, oh wow, okay, well, that's fine. We don't need to go on a trip. I'll just come to Denmark and I'll help you recover and everything. And he said, actually, no, I don't want you to come to Denmark. I want you to be there, but I don't want that to be the first time you meet my parents, and they definitely want to be there. And at this point, I'm like, what do you mean? I'm your girlfriend and we're talking about a future. Why would I not be there when you're getting a major surgery? And I will continue on in part 7.
Do you guys, just a little observation, do you guys think she's reading something? The way she tells the story is so detailed, I'm like, oh wow, she has very good memory, right? But the more I look closer, I feel like she's reading through something. But there's nothing wrong with that. Just again, we want to take as much information in before we start making any judgment, okay? And again, you probably want to write it out, right? So she doesn't kind of like act like me, just be all over the place sometimes. Okay, so part 6. So let's go to part 7. Part 7.
Okay, Danish deception, part 7.
Let me guess, he can't afford the surgery without her help. We don't know. Do I think he's again, he already got $6,000, but repayment is due. So we got to see how he's going to try to like hold this out, okay? But let's get going.
So he tells me that he needs to get a back surgery and he does not want me to come to Denmark because he wants me to meet his parents with him there because there's a serious language barrier, and he wants to make sure that I can communicate with them through him. And he's like, I don't want you to be using Google Translate to talk to them the first time you meet them. And and at first I was really upset because I felt like he wasn't treating me like I was his family. And I remember having a conversation to my mom about it because I was really frustrated. And she asked me, she said, do you think his parents know about you? And I remember I got...
Voila. I don't think so. I don't think so. The way she introduced him to like everyone and just make him feel welcome, right? You would think he would do the exact same thing to her, right? That's a big deal a little bit. That's a big deal because I don't care if you don't speak the language, right? But we have this human thing that I've been to places where I don't speak the language. I remember when I first, when I used to go to this Spanish church, right? Like everyone there was Hispanic, right? The sermon wasn't Spanish, right? And I didn't speak the language, but I still felt welcome. I still feel welcome, and they actually have a translator there. I ended up getting me a translator to kind of like just that one part for me only, right? So if you are welcoming, right, how she has done to him, right, he would go like she doesn't have to speak the language, but this is my assertion thus far is that probably I don't think his family may be as open as she is to him. So let's see.
Really defensive because I told her, in what world would his parents not know about me? And
also too, like his parents may know he's a piece of shit. That's why he probably let me not go there because I don't know the dynamic of him and his sister. Maybe that's why he's like, no, don't say my sister, because of the fact that like his sister may put her on like, hey, listen, my brother is a piece of shit. And that's why he wants to like disconnect he wants to disconnect that path she can use to like learn more about him, because everything so far has been from him, right? So how does his family really feel, right?
And I told him, you know, I really want to be there. I was still kind of like pushing on him for like the full day. And I remember like that was like one of our first like little fights. At this point, we had not fight at all. Like we have not had a single fight in the last 4 months because it's December of 2022. And so I told him, I said, listen, I really want to be there for you. And he was like, honestly, I don't want to like fight about this anymore. Like, let's just put this to rest. And I remember being frustrated because I also didn't have plans for Christmas because my family was going to be traveling, and I had planned to spend Christmas with him. So I remember I reached out to my best friend, Natalie. I was talking to her about the situation, and she said, why don't you fly to New York, spend a couple days with me, and then we'll go spend Christmas in Boston with my family. And I said, okay, like we can do that. And so I brought up the option to my ex. He said, I think that's a great idea. I obviously don't want you to spend Christmas by yourself. And so I said, okay, that works. And I'm obviously extremely sad because at this point I hadn't seen him in weeks, and now I don't know when I'm going to see him again because he's getting this surgery on December 21st. So I make plans, book my flight to New York, and a couple days before I leave, he told me, you know, maybe what we can do is you can come to Denmark maybe a couple days after my back surgery because the doctors say that I need to be up walking a couple days afterwards, and I think it's just my mom that's gonna come. So what we can do is you can come meet my mom and we can go see like the Christmas lights. And at that point I'll be able to translate and everything. And so I said, that's fine. So I was like, I'll fly to New York, go to Boston, spend Christmas with my friend Natalie. And then I'll also have like an extra bag packed for like things to wear in Copenhagen and just make sure I'm prepared to figure out what the plan is whenever he tells me. And so I think we had decided that it was December like 26th or 27th that I was gonna go to Copenhagen and then spend like a week there. So I go to New York, have a great couple days with my friend Natalie. And then on like the second day I'm in New York, I get a message from him. And he said, oh my goodness, my dad's back in the hospital. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry to hear that. He's like, his infection numbers are bad again, his blood poisoning again. And he ended up getting diagnosed.
What did she say about Val? Oh, I'm sorry, wrong place. I'm sorry, wrong channel. So yeah, her dad, that's
with leukemia. And I just,
if you're not in the T sector, that may sound like I just said some like nonsense. It's not. I'm gonna mind my business. I'm not gonna say this. I've come to like that person, so I'm not gonna get into it.
You know, I wanted to be there for him. And I said, you know, like, do you want me to come? Like, I want to be there for you. Like, I don't want you to feel like you have to navigate through these things without having like your partner there to support you. And he said, right now, I just need to like focus on my family, and I'm grateful for you to be here, but I also don't want you to meet my dad for the first time in a hospital bed. And I'm obviously frustrated because I really want to be there for him, but I also don't want to be too pushy because I'm like, this is your family, your dad's in the hospital. I don't want to put too much on him. And so we made the decision that I was just going to be kind of like on standby, which was fine because I was with my best friend Natalie and I love her so much. And so I was having honestly a wonderful time with her and her family. And so we had left New York, went to Boston. Obviously I'm still in constant communication with him, trying to figure out what's happening. And he sends me a message. I think it's on December 23rd. He sends me a message and he says, I'm so angry. I just got into a fight with my sister. And maybe like 5 minutes later, he gives me a call and I'm like, what happened? He said, we're sitting in the hospital room and my dad is obviously laying in the bed and my older sister looks to me and says, so where are you spending Christmas? And I said, not with you, bitch. And it turned into a huge fight. They start screaming at each other in the hospital. He storms out. He feels so disrespected. His mom's upset. His little sister's upset because like, you know, they're already spending some of their holidays in the hospital. And like now, like they have all this tension in the family. And so I remember just being like so confused as to like why his sister is like this awful person. Like, why is she treating you like this, especially at a time when your dad is not doing okay? And so he calls me. He's like, I'm just so upset. Like, I want to get away. And I said, well, let me know what you need from me.
I'm jealous. You talking about Val? Is that who you're talking about? Is that who you're talking about? The message, I get very delayed messages. It's like 30 seconds. So sorry if I respond pretty late.
Me, like I'm literally a plane ride away. And he said, well, I obviously, like, now that I'm like don't want to be around my family, I would love to see you. And I said, okay, well, I can book a flight to Copenhagen and come stay with you. And he said, I don't know, I just kind of feel like I just need to get out of Denmark. And at that point, he was obviously in his hometown in Aalborg, which is 4 hours north of Copenhagen. And so he took a train back to Copenhagen. He's spending Christmas completely by himself, so sad. And we're still trying to iron out what the plans are. And he, again, tells me, I want to leave Denmark. And I was like, are you sure? Because at this point, like, I knew that I wouldn't say we were having like financial issues, but I knew like obviously there was like a little bit of tension with like all of his expenses that were adding up. And so I was like, it might be easier for me to just fly there and I can just stay with you. And he's like, I just really want to get away. And I said, okay, where do you want to go? He said, have you been to Paris before? And I said, no, I actually have not been to Paris. And he's like, well, let's do Paris. And I said, okay, I'm absolutely down to do Paris. And so I look at flights. I book a flight from Boston to Paris with a layover in Iceland, and I leave on the 26th, and I get to Paris on the 27th, and I see him. He meets me at the airport. We arranged our flights to make sure we landed around the same time. And something I need to add is before I had gone to Paris, he had told me that he had made a transfer from his business account to his personal account. And
I'm really trying. I'm really trying. He's about to hit her with the Kevin Hart joke about how his account is structured, how his bank account is structured. I'm really trying, guys, because I want to take it all in before I start saying something, right? Because I want to kind of see how her demeanor is and how everything's going to lay out, right? But is she going to hit us with like, my bank account is structured this way, like the Kevin Hart like joke? I hope that's not the case.
Obviously, in the States, when you make a transfer like that, it's just like a click of a button. Like, I have a business account. It's a click of a button. But he told me that in Denmark, when you make a transfer from your business account to your personal account, it actually has to go through the IRS. They take out the taxes, and then they deposit the money into your personal account. And I'm over here thinking,
what are you talking about? What is this now? What is this now? In Denmark, to make a transfer from personal account to business account, does the IRS have to take out money? Again, in Denmark, the country Denmark. Transferring the money between your personal account to your business account in Denmark do not automatically constitute a new taxable event. No. And this is what I'm saying. This is why a lot of stories like this, again, that's why I said I would have lent that $6,000, right? But when I started hearing like weird things like this, I'm like, oh, you're trying to scam me. Game recognized game. You see, right there, I just like solve it. And that's why I said I had to like let her talk so I can gauge what her level of like financial literacy is. And I'm surprised she's falling for this stuff because I just did a quick research. No, that's not a taxable event. He's not selling something. Like, he's not selling a stock. He's literally transferring. Yeah, anyway, so let's continue on.
like, that's so crazy. But I also know, like, Denmark is a foreign country that I don't know anything about. I didn't question it for a second. And so he said, I'm just gonna ask my mom to give me a quick little loan so I can obviously cover everything with Paris and whatnot. And I said, okay, just let me know what she says. And then he basically came back to me and said, she said that she will only give me the money if I spend a couple more days with the family. I said, well, you should do that. Like, I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to take you away from your family by any means. And he said, I don't even want to be around them right now. It's just like not good for my mental health. And then I said, okay, well, what do you need from me? I said, I can cover like the flights and the hotels. It's not that big of a deal. And at that point, we had been on 2 trips together, or no, we'd only been on 1 trip together to the south of France. And then Paris was going to be our 2nd trip. The rest of the times he had now visited.
South of France is beautiful.
Me in Dallas 3 times. And so I told him, I said, I can pay for the flights and the hotels. It's not that big of a deal. He said, are you sure? I said, yeah, of course. He's like, I just don't know what I would do without you. Like, I just feel like I keep hitting these roadblocks and you are there to pick up the pieces every single time. And I'm so grateful for that.
Okay. Do you guys want to have a bet? I think he's married. I think he's married with a child. I really think so. like spending time with the family for the holiday season, and after the holiday season is trying to see her. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm digging. Again, I don't know like how this is gonna end. So this is what I'm gauging, okay?
And I said, I'll always be there to support you. So now we can go back to landing in Paris. We meet at the airport, and he told me, he's like, letting you know I'm not in the best mood. I've been just like really upset. And I said, I am here to make you happy. So we land in Paris, we see each other, we're so happy. And we had the most spectacular trip in Paris. Like, we were just exploring. It was my first time there. And it was, obviously I paid for a lot of that trip, and he paid for a little bit of the trip too. So we both kind of paid. And keep in mind, he still owes me $6,000 at this point. I am not concerned about the money. I don't know why I should have been concerned. I should have been noticing these red flags, like, bro, like, where's my money? But again, this is someone that I am planning.
Angel, welcome. Don't trust AI. This is juicy. I'm locked in. Okay, I stopped talking. Let's go.
On marrying, and money at this point, like, money comes and goes, and I wasn't focused on that. I was just focused on us. So
low key, I kind of agree with her. Again, if you don't expect someone is gonna like take advantage of you, like financially, right? And it looks like in her point of her life, at that point of her life, right, money was not really the major issue, so she didn't really think of it as much, right? Again, I would have lent that $6,000. I would have lended out, right? But when you start telling me a little funny business, how your bank account is structured, and this, no, that's when I'm like, okay, no, we don't do that over here.
We finish our trip in Paris, say our goodbyes, and we start just, getting depressed, as we always do when we say goodbye. And I board my flight to Dallas, and he asked me, what are your thoughts on us meeting with an immigration attorney just to get an idea of what the process entails? And I said, absolutely, I would love to do that. Obviously, I had Googled and looked into a few things, but nothing concrete. At the time, one of my best friends was working part-time for immigration attorneys. So I reached out to her. I said, hey, can I get her contact information? And she said, yeah, of course. She gives me her contact information, and I call her. We set up a meeting, and obviously, still the time difference. He had a work trip in Norway that he was at. And at this point, also,
I'm going to change my screen so I can see it better.
Little side note, we had started sharing our locations while we were in Paris. So I had his location at this point, and I could see that he was in Norway. And he also FaceTimed me from the hotel room. So he was in Norway, 100%. And we had a call with the lawyer, and we were discussing the process. And she tells us it's going to take 18 months for you guys to get all of this process after the time you get married. And I was like, 18 months? She's like, everything is super backed up because of COVID. I always want to let my clients know this stuff so that they are fully prepared. And I just felt like that sounded like such a long time. But we finished a conversation with the lawyer, and I then call my ex, and we're talking, debriefing on everything. And there's two different types of ways to get permanent residency in the United States. There's consular processing, and then there's another way where you basically apply for the visa and you're living in the States full time while you're processing the visa. So obviously, because he was still working a lot and traveling a lot for work, and because of his dad's health, we decided we would do consular processing, because why not? But then we start having the discussions on, okay, but the clock starts after we get married. And that's when he says, well, I would marry you tomorrow. And I was like, well, I would marry you tomorrow. And he was like, wait, really? And now the time has come for me to drop the first of many bombs on you guys. This man is actually not my ex-fiance. He is my ex-husband. So I will end right now, and we will pick back up in part 8.
Okay. Part 7, we're getting there, okay? We're getting to part 8.
The Danish Deception, part 8. I was not going to leave you guys hanging, but I do have a wedding tonight, so this will be the final part of the evening. And just want to let you guys know, I need you to bear with me. I do have a job. I do have a life. I'm trying to do this at my own pace, but I also wanted to say thank you all for being here. This is not easy to share with the world, but your support truly means so much to me. All right, so yeah, we were not just engaged, we were married, and we are now divorced. So once we made the decision to get married, I remember we had a phone call over the course of like 6 hours. In one day, we talked on the phone about all the things that we wanted to get out of life. We talked about kids, we talked about religion, we talked about everything. And at the end of that day, he told me, do you still want to get married? And I said, absolutely. I'm in love with you. I want to build a life with you. I want to have a family with you. So the decision was very, very simple. And so he already told me about a month prior that he had reached out to his realtor about putting out feelers about selling his home. Because at this point, now that we're getting married, he's like, I'm going to just try to spend as much time in Dallas as possible. And I was absolutely okay with that. And so in the beginning of January, he had told me that his realtor got an offer off market for his place. And
how much?
I was like, that's great. And he was like, I'm going to probably take a loss. So, I mean, I'm just trying to get as much as my down payment back. And I was like, how much are you going to end up getting back? He said, probably around $500,000. I was like, well, that's, a good solid base for us to have. And I was more than okay with that. Keep in mind, he still does owe me money at this point. So
$6,000, $500,000. Yes, sell it.
They end up going under contract. The plan is for the house to sell by the end of January. And everything seemed like it was going smooth. And then one day he calls me and he tells me that he's had the worst day ever. And I'm like, oh, now what? He's frantic. He's like, there's a fire in the control room, the electrical control room at the apartment complex that he bought. And he's just like, I don't know what to do. He's like, there's no power. Like, no one has power. He's like, I just paid this guy $2,000 to bring generators to power up the whole.
The thing about scammers and those romance scam, right? There's a lot of the stuff online you can watch, right? And they always have to hit you with an emergency. It's always an emergency, always urgent. When someone starts hitting something urgent, right? That's the number one is a scam. That's the number one thing is the sign it's a scam, right? The generator just went off, right? And now she has to do something. He has to do something ASAP, right? He needs that emergency money. Again, we're already $6,000 in the hole, okay? Now talking about marriage. It's going to distract her a little bit, right? Then it's going to hit her with a generator. It's probably going to be a few more thousands of dollars, okay? So let's see where this is going to go.
Entire apartment. I have an electrician coming and he's like freaking out. And he basically used all of his money.
Would you guys consider this a romance scam? Because so far I'm not, because I have to know his intention towards this whole thing, right? And he doesn't give me he's because he does show up. That's one thing too. He does show up. He is using his funds to kind of find to support some of the things that she does, right? But I don't think so far the way it is right now, his intention is not literally to just milk her completely, right? Because a lot of romance scam that involves deception, right? It's they have no intention of seeing you, right? It just gets you with a bunch of emergency money, right? And just run away, run with the wind, okay? So she moved her hands around. Oh yeah, that's a Nigerian thing, like Italian. You gotta move around. Watch me too. I'm always moving my face, my this. Yeah, she does. I think it's an African thing. Or Nigerian. Africa's a big place, okay? I'm speaking on Nigeria only because I am Nigerian.
He had to put towards the generators and paying the electrician for as much work as they could do. And I was like, okay, what now? And he was like, I need help. At this point, he has now asked me for help. He said, can you send me $5,000? Oh. And I said, yeah, of course, I can help you.
11, that's 11.
Again,
6 plus 5, that's 11.
I hate myself. I hate this. I hate that I was so willing to help him, and it is what it is. But I sent him the $5,000. He tells me that his insurance is going to cover it. He's going to be able to pay me back. And also, I'm mindful of the fact that his house is supposed to close at the end of the month. And so a week go by, and we start talking about plans for the wedding. And so at first, we wanted to go to Vegas. And then we looked into it, and Denmark does not recognize wedding marriages that are done in Vegas, because you can get the marriage certificate and get married in the same day.
I didn't know that. See, this is what I'm saying, guys. Pay attention. She knows this more complex stuff, right? But when he hit her with my checking account to my business account is a little bit different. Like, she doesn't investigate that. That's what I'm saying. She's showing her hands, right? So she just told us. I didn't know that, right? That's kind of interesting, right? But now she should know something more easier, that like, hey, if you transfer from check-in to a business account in Denmark, right? That does not trigger a taxable event, right? But let's keep going. Don't judge. We listen. We don't judge, right, guys?
Same thing with Colorado. Shout out to Denmark. I love that rule. But we're like, it's fine. We should just save money. Let's just do it in Dallas. And then we can go do a little weekend trip to Broken Bow, Oklahoma, which is like this cute lake town. And that can be our honeymoon. And he was like, okay, that works fine. We can do that. At this point, he has his flight booked to come back to Dallas in the end of January. Now we're in 2023. And he tells me that one of his really close friends that owns a plumbing business, and my ex was actually godfather of this man's son. This is confirmed. And he came to him and said that his partner in his business is like doing some like shady stuff. He's like scared.
She needs to come to the T sector of YouTube. Everything will be confirmed. If you're getting married, if you, I don't know, interested in something, come to the T sector. Everything will be confirmed over here. They would dig and dig and dig and find everything. So she needs to bring her stuff over here, get a few interviews here and there, gives a few names, and that's it. They would T sector Carfax it.
That he's gonna get like implicated. He wants my ex to buy out his partner. And
I like that, T-Fax. I like that name, T-Fax. I should write it down somewhere. T-Fax.
He's asking him for a loan of $250,000. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money. And this time he asked me, and you know, we're about to get married. So now I feel like I can insert my opinion about the situation. So I asked him, I'm like, is this just a handout, or is this going to be a good investment? And he was like, well, I think it's going to be a really good investment. Like, he has a bunch of ideas of how to expand the business. And to me, I was like, well, if you can help a friend and have a good investment, I think that makes a lot of sense. And as you guys can already tell, I'm a very giving person. I've been very giving my entire life. I get it from my parents. They're very generous and selfless. And so when it comes to helping friends and family in need, I've always done it. If I can do it, I'll always do it. And so to me, I'm like, we have this money coming in.
I actually get that from her. Seriously, I really get that spirit from her. She has a giving spirit, right? A Danish prince getting married to a Texan, right, in Vegas doesn't sound right to me either. I agree with Denmark, okay? And whoever not confirm will be fouled by the CC. Yeah. She needs a T-Fax. I'm telling you, man. She needs to bring her butt over here, right? And everything will be confirmed, okay? She has any hole in the story, they're gonna find it.
Let's invest it. And you know, I own this house here, and we don't have any big purchases coming up, so it's okay. Like, I wasn't really stressed and pressed about it. And so basically I was like, okay, the house is gonna close at the end of the month, and then he'll be able to like pay me back the money that he owes me, and he'll be able to help his friend, and everything will be good to go. So he ends up coming back to Dallas. We get our marriage certificate. We set our wedding date for February 10th. And I remember the night before our wedding, he got really, really bad food poisoning, which I feel like should have been another sign that this was 100% the wrong decision to make. But instead I was like, hey, in sickness and in health, like, whatever happens, we're gonna make it through it. And at this point, he doesn't really have any money. I remember he looked at me, he goes, I'm sick, I'm broke. You wanna marry me still? I said, I don't care if you're sick and broke. I love you for you. And we're getting married, and I'm so... Wait
a minute. He has 7 properties in Denmark. He has 7 properties all over the place. Maybe broke to a prince. So let's be serious. Like, if me being broke is like needing like agencies to help me out, maybe Obama being broke is not the same. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's what it is. A prince broke is different, right? Yeah, prince broke is like few hundred grands in a bank account. So let's again, we listen, we don't judge, okay? We listen, we don't judge.
So excited and ready for it. So the morning of our wedding, obviously he couldn't afford a ring at that point. And so I remember he got on one knee. I like woke up that morning and he's down on one knee next to the bed.
Wait a minute. Like, you're telling me mom doesn't have a jewelry like in the family that can be used, that's passed down from generations to generations? And she hasn't met his parents yet. Huh. Again, we listen and we don't judge, okay?
I know this isn't the proposal you dreamed of, and I promise you I'm going to propose to you one day with a real ring, and we're going to share this with the world, but I want to ask you, will you marry me? And I said, absolutely, I'll marry you. And so we went to the courthouse. I remember I was wearing a dress from Fashion Nova because I didn't care. I was just excited to marry my person. And we got married, and I mean, I truly thought this was one of the best days of my life. I was so happy. I was grinning so big. I still have the pictures and the videos from this day. And
I'm jealous. Red flag. You right now, all I hear is red flags, okay? But we listen and don't judge, okay? How can we judge? How can we say we listen and judge when we talk about red flags? I get it. I get the contradiction, but we listen and we don't judge. Because, sheesh.
we went to Broken Bow afterwards.
It's getting bad now.
And we just had a great weekend in a little cabin in the woods. And it's just this cute lake town, so it's perfect. And we brought Smokey. I remember we got burgers. I made a lasagna. We just stayed in and hiked. And it was a really, really wonderful honeymoon.
I think she's pregnant at this time. Guys. In my personal opinion, this is February, right? That she's getting married. I remember her saying that, right? I think she's pregnant this time because I'm like, why wait? I understand she loves this guy that she barely spent a lot of time with, right? Why wait so long to just kind of had that shotgun kind of wedding, right? And wait the amount of age that she did at that time and everything. It just don't make any sense to me. I think she's pregnant. And this is the way she feels like she wants to do it, like Nigerian parents and everything. You just don't want to have a child without being married, right? So I think that's what happened.
After the wedding, he stayed in Dallas for about a week, and then he goes back to Denmark. And he had said that the house is closed and that he was just waiting for the funds. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay in Denmark. Again, I have no idea how this stuff works. And so while he's in Denmark, he says the funds came through. He transferred the money to his friend for the investment in the plumbing business. And he said that he was about to set up a transfer for me for the money he owed me, which was about $10,000 at that point.
Pay attention. She almost said for her child. She said for me. Then she paused. She almost said for her child. Again, we're in February. This is February, guys. So we have to do some math, okay? People say don't do math in public, but we're gonna have to do some math today, okay, to see when the baby is gonna show up, okay? Because she almost said something about me and let's see. Let me see if I can rewind a little bit. Pay attention to this.
To set up a transfer for me for the money he owed me, which was about $10,000 at that point. And so a couple weeks go by. I still haven't received the money. I'm not super pressed about it because I still am like fully trusting him at this point.
Wait
he
a
ends up
minute.
booking his flight point.
She said $10,000. So I counted $11,000. What'd she get? It was $6,000 plus a 5, right? That's 11, right? Maybe I'm doing the 80s math. Is that different?
A couple weeks go by. I still haven't received the money. I'm not super pressed about it because I still am like fully trusting him at this point. And he said that the house had closed and that he was just waiting for the funds. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay in Denmark. Again, I have no idea how this stuff works. And so while he's in Denmark, he says the funds came through. He transferred the money to his friend for the investment in the plumbing business. And he said that he was about to set up a transfer for me for the money he owed me, which was about $10,000 at that point.
Maybe it's not a baby.
So,
okay.
A couple weeks go by. I still haven't received the money. I'm not.
Oh, she's rounding down. No. If you owe me, we round up. That 11,000 is now 11,500. Okay, you don't round down. That's not how it works. Okay, we round up. It's like he almost $15,000 if it's $11,000. No. We don't do that over here.
Super pressed about it because I still am like fully trusting him at this point. And he ends up booking his flight to come back to visit in March. And this trip was a trip that my dad and my mom were coming back to Dallas to come visit, and he already planned to ask my dad for my hand in marriage. And so he's about to come visit, and he calls me maybe like a couple days before he's about to come to Dallas, and he said, I received the worst possible news today, and I will continue on in part 9. Hope you guys have a great night.
Well, she's whatever she's doing. I like how she breaks it down. She always ends with a cliffhanger, right? But I don't know. Again, where are we? Part 9, right, guys?
The Danish Deception, part 9. Okay.
Yes.
So he calls me and he tells me that he's had the worst news that he possibly could have. The IRS has told him that he owes $318,000 in taxes. In addition to that, his dad owes $12 million in taxes. And at this point...
Sorry, guys. Okay. I'm professional. I bet the business friend is actually his wife, and that plumbing business is her. It's her plumbing because she's pregnant. And let's see.
I did not have a lot of information about his family money because I've always been the type of person, like, if your parents have money, that means your parents have money. That does not mean you have money. So I didn't even ask.
100% agree. 100% agree. That has nothing to do with you.
Details about his parents' finances, but obviously I'm like, if his parents owe $12 million in taxes, they got money. And he said that the person that was doing his taxes for years and years and also doing his dad's taxes was one of his childhood friends that owns an accounting firm. And he's like, we've been paying a lot of money in taxes over the years, so someone must be committing some sort of fraud at this point. And so I'm obviously freaking out. This is a lot of money that he owes. So he said,
okay, I'm reading the comments in the Ticket to the Talk. Someone said Nigerian parents and none of them had a dream. God telling them something. Yeah. Okay, let's get to that part where she's going to talk about her Nigerian parents. Because Nigerian parents always have a dream in their family about something. Okay. So I'm surprised that no one caught this. Okay.
You know what? I'm going to use the rest of the proceeds from selling my home. And in addition to that, he told me at this point he owns 3 different watches. He owns 2 Rolexes and a Patek watch, which if you're not a watch person, these are very expensive watches. And
Patek
so
is very expensive.
A couple hours go by. He's like, I sold my Patek watch, and like he said, he sold it at a loss. He just needed to get the money. He said he's short about $30K. And so he tells me that he's going to reach out to his parents, and his parents are like, we don't care. Like, this is not our problem. This is your problem. Figure it out. And he starts to just like, continue spiraling. And so he tells me he's going to reach out to 2 of his childhood friends, one of which he was with this friend whenever we met in Croatia. So I knew they've been friends for a while, and then another childhood friend. And he told me, I've helped out these friends so much in the past, and it's almost like he was communicating to me that he was owed this money from them. I've never asked friends for money before, so this is like not anything that I'm comfortable with, but I was like, hey, if you feel comfortable doing this, go for it. I had not offered him a cent. So he comes back, says he's going to get $10,000 from one friend and then $5,000 from another friend. And I was like, that's so nice of them. He's like, I've honestly helped them so much in the past that I'm grateful that they're helping me when I'm in need. And so at this point, he's short $15,000. And so he just comes right out and asks me, can I borrow it? And I did not say yes right away. I said, listen, I have to pay my taxes too, because I was working at an accounting firm. Obviously that's W-2 income, but I was also doing real estate, and I did very well the year before. So I owed a pretty penny in taxes, and it's March of 2023. So my taxes are coming up pretty soon. And so I told him, I'm not comfortable giving you this money because...
The reason why she said that, if you get a W-2, right, they've taken out the money from the W-2, but when she gets the real estate, right, sometimes they probably don't take the appropriate amount of taxes. So that's why she probably owes tax at the end of the year. So she wants to make sure she does the right thing so she doesn't have any kind of tax due, right? So, but you can tell even my face is changing, right? Because you can tell now she's starting to realize that she messed up. Like, no more smiling. Maybe she's reading the comments and just realizing, yeah, this is not good, right? Don't forget to send the money. Let's see. So I'm reading the comments. Girl, how much do you have in your savings?
You know, like I have to pay taxes too. And now my savings is like really starting to like, I'm starting to feel like the financial impact, and it's starting to stress me out. And he said, you know, I hired a law firm. They've already looked into my tax records. They've already found indicators of fraud. I think I'm going to be able to get this turned around really quickly. And my biggest worry and concern is that if I don't pay this tax bill, it's going to affect my chances of getting a green card. And that's when I start to panic. And now I realize that I was just in a very toxic cycle of emotional manipulation. But after some time, he talks me into loaning him the $15,000. And I remember I only could send him like $3,000 at a time. And so I remember it was like over like the course of 5 days. And like every day he'd be like, hey, don't forget to send the payment. And everything about this felt so wrong in my soul, but I did it anyways. And this was not something that I kept quiet about. Like I told my
so 15,000 plus 6,000 plus 5,000, we have $26,000 she's in the hole, ladies and gentlemen.
My parents, I told my siblings, like my ex got this crazy tax bill, and you know, they were all aware that we were going through this like financial hiccup, and I didn't like want to be presented as these people with money. So I was very upfront and honest about it. And like you can ask a lot of my friends, like I told a lot of my close people about this situation. And quick side note, I did not tell them that I was loaning him money. I just told them that he owed a lot of money, and I told them about the overall situation. But at this point, no one knows that I have given him any money. So I ended up giving him the money. He's so grateful. He's like, thank you so much for helping me out. And so about like 5 days later, he flies to Dallas to come and visit. And my parents came to visit maybe a couple days after he came. And at this point, he's staying in the living room, not in the bed with me, but he could not go to a hotel because we're like trying to be mindful with spending. So my parents definitely started to bond with my ex a lot more over this trip. Like I remember my dad brought him this Nigerian Igbo cane that my ex had been admiring, that my dad had one. He surprised him, brought him one from Nigeria. And he actually took my dad out and asked him for my hand in marriage, even though we were already married. And my dad said yes. And my dad also broke coconut in front of the family and like welcomed my ex into the family. It's just, I mean, it was really special. Obviously we were dealing with a lot of financial stress, but I want you all to know that like I was happy a majority of the time, regardless of the stress I was going through, which is just insane to understand. But after a week, we ended up going to Cabo for one of my childhood friends' wedding. And I had paid for the portion of the wedding already because I had been planning on going by myself. And then obviously I got into a relationship, so I just had to pay like a little extra to add someone to the reservation. But we decided to go a couple days early and celebrate like our honeymoon. And so basically our flight comes and he's staying in the living room. My parents are sleeping in the guest bedroom. And I wake up and I get a text from him. And he says, hey, can you come downstairs real quick? And I said, of course. So I go downstairs. I'm like, what's up? He said, one of my friends, the friend that he had received $5,000 from for the tax bill, reached out to me and said he's freaking out because his wife really wants to buy this house and he's short a certain amount of money to purchase this home. And obviously he was like, I feel so bad because he loaned it to me because he was trying to help me out. And my biggest strength and weakness is empathy. And when I saw him hurting because his friend was not able to do something because of the money he had loaned my ex, and at this point I felt like the friend had loaned us the money. It wasn't like he loaned my ex the money because we were married. And so I do something so stupid and idiotic. I end up loaning him an additional $3,000 not even a week after I had already given him $15,000. So I actually ended up giving him $18,000.
No. The math is not mathing. No. What is she talking about? What is these? Plus 3. No. We're gonna do math in public, okay? She lent him $15,000. We confirmed that, right? And she lent him $6,000. But the first amount she lent him was $5,000 plus this $3,000. Ladies and gentlemen, that's $29,000. $29,000. Okay, the math is not mathing. I'm just saying.
$1,000 in the month of March of 2023.
Oh,
yes,
in the month. Okay, got it. Okay, in the month. And the aggregate is $29,000.
To my stomach. So I can send him the money. We end up going to the airport, fly to Cabo. We have an amazing trip. And at this point, I had just hard launched him on my Instagram Valentine's Day prior. So at this point, I hard launched him after we were already married. And we were in Cabo, and I'm...
What does that mean? What does that mean, guys? What, the hard lunch? What does that mean? I don't get it.
like posting more photos of him on my social media.
Got it. Okay, got it.
And I'm going through my Instagram story views and I'm looking at the names and I'm seeing all of these Danish names. And I can tell they're Danish names because there's a different Danish alphabet. And so I'm clicking some of the profiles and a lot of them you can see like my ex is like the mutual, like follows them. And so I brought it up to him like, hey, all these Danish people are watching my story, but I thought it was weird that no one was like following me. I'm like, these are your friends. Like, and I wanted him to maintain the same friendships in Denmark, even though he was moving to the States. Cause I
She made it Instagram official. Got it. Okay.
never want to be the type of person that takes a man away from like his friends and family. And so I remember I'm clicking profiles and I click a girl's profile and I look at the first picture and I see my ex's dog. And that's something that I actually haven't mentioned. My ex did have a dog, and every time he came to visit, he had a friend that was watching the dog. And whenever he sold his place and decided that he was going to spend more time in Dallas, he ended up his dog ended up getting adopted by some people because he's like, I just am not home enough. And at first I told him like, bring the dog to Dallas. Like I wanted the dog to come. He's like, no, it's fine. Like it's not.
This is why people love Americans, right? Imagine meeting someone in 3-4 months, they already send you $29,000, right? I'll leave it there. Again, we listen and we don't judge.
It's not, that does not make sense to do. And I supported his decision. And he told me that the ex could not take the dog because she was in med school and was constantly out of the home and she just did not have the capacity to take care of the dog. But I see his dog and it's like a duck-toller retriever. I think duck-tolling retriever. I think that's how you say it. I saw his dog as a puppy on this girl's profile and I clicked the tag and my ex is tagged. And so I look at him, I go, is this your ex-girlfriend? He was like, oh yeah, it is. I was like, oh, so she's watching my stories. He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, that's a little weird. And I remember checking like throughout the course of like every day for like a week and like all these Danish people are still watching my story every day. And I'm like, don't you think this is weird that there's like 15 Danish people watching my story every day? And he was like, honestly, I just feel like they're a little bit salty that I like moved on. I'm moving to America. Like, I think they might be a little salty. And he said, you should just block them all. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this is like a very toxic group of people. And so I was like, is that what you want me to do? He said, yeah, just block them all. Like they're not here for the right reasons. They're just looking to like creep and they're probably just talking a bunch of shit. So I said, okay. And I decided to block them all. And so basically we come back from Cabo, he stays for about a month and then he goes back to Denmark. And at this point he had come to visit me so many times. And so I decided, now's my time to go spend time with him in Europe and his dad's
and his family.
With his dad's health and his work, it made sense for me to just, go out of my way to try to spend time with him. And I could work remote at the time. And so I board a flight and I head to Denmark for the first time. And I land in Denmark and I will continue on in part 10. The Danish Deception,
okay,
part
10, part 10. We still listen and we don't judge, right? We don't judge like a mug. Okay, part 10, let's go.
The Danish Deception, part 10. So I land in Denmark after a couple of layovers and my ex is waiting after baggage claim. He's waving a Danish flag and I'm just so excited to be in Denmark for the first time. And so we land, we go to one of his friends' homes because we're staying there for the night. We change and we go directly to an Easter lunch with him and all of his childhood friends. So I walk in and everyone is just so nice. And it's his childhood friends and like their wives and girlfriends. And everyone was just super kind to me. We were drinking, having fun. After a while, I was super jet lagged. So we ended up going back to his friend's house. That's where we stayed that night. And the following day, he gives me the hometown tour. So he shows me where he got baptized. He shows me his elementary school and we're just exploring. And I just feel so grateful to like see his roots, see where he grew up. And after the day of exploring, we go to his parents' house, and this is my first time meeting his parents, and I am so nervous. I've always
They exist. I thought they weren't gonna exist. I thought like, I don't know, his parents may not even be here. It was just something, or his parents don't like her, right?
done really well with parents, but this is, different situation because number one, there's not a whole lot of Black people in Denmark. So they're not used to meeting people that look like me. Also, this man has made it very clear that he's moving to America. So you can only imagine how a mother might feel about the woman that's moving her son 5,000 miles away. So I was really nervous, but I'm not even kidding. The second I walked in, me and his mom instantly connected. And I think we bonded over our mutual love for my ex. And so it was his parents and his sister and her boyfriend that she had just recently started dating. We're all at this dinner. She cooked a very traditional Danish meal. It's called flæskesteg. I remember I had seconds, I had thirds. I think that made her fall in love with me even more because what mother doesn't want a girl that's going to eat their food? And so I brought...
Again, she's back to smiling when she talks about him and the family. No. You owe me $20-something thousand. No. We don't do that over here. That's it. I'm like, what are you talking about? Why is she still smiling? I want my money. I can help her collect it if she likes.
Her like a bunch of gifts. Her and his father. I brought them gifts from Dallas, and we just really bonded that first day. She brought out all these photo albums and was showing me like my ex's childhood photos, and it was a really special night. And I remember my ex kept being like, "Are you sure you're okay with staying here?" Because one thing I will say is they lived in a very humble home. And listen, I know there's billionaires out there that drive Honda Civics, so I don't judge. I'm never the type of person being like, "Why are you guys staying in this small house?" Spend your money the way you want to spend your money. So I didn't think anything of it. But I was a little bit surprised. And also Denmark is not the type of place that has all these like big houses. Like a lot of the homes are small regardless of if you have money. But again, didn't think anything of it. So we have a great dinner. The following day, we start going and having these like day trips all over Denmark and going to explore. And it's always me, my ex, and his parents. And one day we went to this area called Skagen, which is the most northern part of Denmark. And it's really beautiful. And it was just fun to go and explore. And we're driving home, and my ex starts yelling at his dad. His dad is yelling back. They just start going at it. And obviously they're speaking Danish. I have no clue what they're saying. My ex pulls over. He gets out of the car, storms out, starts like walking away. I get out of the car. I chase after him. I'm like, what's happening? And he was like, my dad basically just said that he's over today. He just wants to go back and watch his game. And I was like, and he basically said he was really upset because he felt like his dad wasn't making an effort to get to know me. And that's when I realized that him and his dad had a really toxic relationship. And I also noticed that like they basically exchanged like 1 to 2 sentences a day.
Okay.
I also noticed that he wasn't as close with his sister, his little sister, because I mean, they would talk all the time. And so I thought that was a little strange too. But I don't know, I'm still trying to really understand this family dynamic. But what I do know is that he's a mama's boy. He's close with his mom, which, that was really important to me. There were a few things that I took away from this trip. The first being that he is a little bit embarrassed of his family's home. He kept saying, do you want to go stay in a hotel or Airbnb? Do you want to stay here? And I'm like, why would we not stay here? Like, if I went to go visit my parents and I wanted to stay in an Airbnb, they'd be devastated. I was like, of course we're staying here. And he was like, I know it's not like nice. It's a super old house. They haven't renovated it. Like, I don't understand. They have all this money. Like, why don't they do it? I'm like, it's fine. Like, don't worry. We'll be okay. Another thing I noticed was that I did not meet the older sister. No one spoke of her. And I knew at this point she had one kid at this point. So they talked about her a little bit, but it was kind of like the elephant in the room. Like no one really talked about it. And, I know they don't have a relationship. They can't be with each other in intimate settings. But overall, like I did have a good trip with him despite the tension. So after a week, we traveled to Copenhagen, and I remember getting to Copenhagen and I'm immediately just so happy to be there because this city exceeded my expectations. It's a beautiful city. And we ended up staying in a hotel, like a cheaper hotel by the water. And I can stay anywhere. I'm good. I don't need to stay anywhere bougie. And I remember him being like, I hate that we have to stay here. Like, it's not nice. I'm like, I don't care. Like, we have a bed, we have a place to stay. It's okay. And so we spent that whole week just exploring Copenhagen, and then we get ready to travel to Nigeria for my grandmother's burial. And so at this point, we're staying in this hotel, and I remember there was like a laundromat at this hotel, so I was doing laundry, and he said, I'm gonna go and get a few things from my storage unit, because he's moved out of his place at this point. He has a storage unit. And so he comes back home and he has like this Rolex box, and he's like, oh, this is one of my Rolexes. I want to show it to you. And at this point, I had already seen his steel, what's it called? The Batman. I already had seen that watch. He had brought it out for Cabo. So I've seen one of his watches. To Patek, he sold. I never saw it. So now this is the second watch he's bringing out. And he opens it. And it's, again, I did not know anything about watches before this, but now I know it's a day-date presidential watch with a green face. So he ends up telling me this is like a $50,000 watch. I was like, this is nice. And keep in mind, we're about to leave for Nigeria in like a day. I'm like, why'd you bring it out? And he's like, oh, I'm going to bring it to Nigeria. I go, you're going to do what? And he's like, I'm bringing it to Nigeria. I'm like, you cannot bring a $50,000 watch to Nigeria. He's like, yeah, I can. And I'm like, this does not make sense. And he said, no, like, this is a special occasion. Like, I want to bring it out for this. And so I told him, okay, I feel very uncomfortable, especially like us being in the village and you're
Sounds like an insurance claim. That's what happened. Seriously.
wearing this like
It sounds like he's about to say, well, it was lost in Nigeria because you're not bringing a 50K watch to Nigeria. That's absurd.
expensive watch. You're just asking yourself to get robbed.
Yeah,
I just
if you bring it, you don't like wear it. Like, no.
did not understand it, but whatever. He ends up packing the watch. We get ready and we hop on a flight to go to Nigeria and meet my family for my grandmother's burial. Keep in mind, he had paid for all the hotels, everything in Denmark, and he paid for all the hotels and flights for Nigeria. And so we hop on a plane, go to Nigeria. I'm super nervous because I just don't know what to expect and how he's going to react. But we go, we meet up with my family, and he does so well. And it was funny because everyone wanted to take photos with him, and he was meeting my extended family, like my grandmother. I never thought I would bring a man home to meet my grandmother. I felt like I fell deeper in love with him, watching him just immerse himself in my culture and be there for my family while we put my grandmother to rest. And it was just a really amazing, beautiful trip. Honestly, there was nothing crazy that happened. And he tells me while we're in Nigeria that the law firm has settled the issue with his taxes and they're filing a document for the accounting firm to pay out a settlement, and it'll be paid out soon. And then he'll be able to transfer me the money that I'm owed. And so I'm like, oh, I'm breathing deeply. And it's awkward because at this point, we are trying to figure out what our plan is, when we're going to come back to the States. And he says, you know what, like, let's just go back to my parents' house in my hometown. They were actually on a vacation, so the house was empty, and we can figure out what we want to do next. And I said, okay, that sounds good. So we go to his parents' house, and at this point, I'm still working remote. So I remember I was at the dining table working, and he walks up to me, and he says, I have some really, really good news. I was like, what's up? He said, my realtor just reached out to me.
$500,000. Let's see.
And said there's a very wealthy family that is interested in purchasing this apartment complex. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best news in the world. And he said, there is one caveat, and I will continue on in part 11.
Let's go part 11. I'm starting to feel like part 10 was more going like, I feel like kind of slowed down a little bit, but so let's see. She just posted something on her page, so that's what I just got a message from.
The Danish Deception, part 11. Okay, so he tells me that his realtor has found...
Someone has a calculator of $32,000 in the comment section. Someone has a calculator of $32,000. I have $29,000, so I guess she's gonna get 3 more thousand.
A buyer for this apartment complex, and there's one caveat. So apparently it's a very wealthy family. He did not know who this wealthy family was, but this family, the way they draft up the contracts, whenever they have to buy a property for tax purposes, and there's like a certain cutoff for when they need to acquire a property, they modify, they have like their own contract drafted up that basically requires the buyer and the seller to put money into escrow so that if the seller changes their mind of selling the house, they get liquidated damages. Basically, make sure the deal goes through. I have never experienced anything like this in my real estate career. Obviously, Denmark is a different country. I didn't really know how real estate worked there. So not only is it different rules and guidelines, but it's also, I've never worked with like a super ultra wealthy family before to understand that this might be a requirement or something added in their contracts. And so I remember being like, how much is it going to be? And he's like, oh, it's going to be like $120,000. I remember just like being like, well, we don't have this money. Like, there's no way we can make this work. And so he said, I'm going to be able to come up with a loan, get a loan from a bank. I've already called them. I can get a loan from them for like $100,000. So we're just going to be short another amount. And at this point, my accounts are dwindling. And because I was in this long distance relationship, I was not focused on doing real estate at all. Like, I had taken a full step back from real estate. But I did have a career where I was making well over 6 figures. So I still was like making a pretty steady income. But my savings had been dwindling down. So I didn't have a whole lot of money left. So I remember at this point, he's like, we should make this deal work. And I'm seeing this as a way to get out of our financial position. And let me just say, my ex, if he wasn't such a narcissistic psychopath, he'd be such a great actor, because the way he sold this stuff to me, like, it was insane. So I remember he said that he was going to take his watches to a store to see if he could get it sold within 24 hours. Obviously, that might be kind of difficult. And so at this point, he was like, how much money do you have? And I was like, I really don't have a whole lot of money to give you. So I remember I gave him like a small amount, maybe like 3,000, because I wanted to make sure I had enough money for like.
So 3,000. So again, we're calculating because someone else already calculated in the comment section. And you could see $32,000 plus 3. So that's $32,000. Perfect.
Bills and miscellaneous. I just wanted to have a little bit of cushion. And I was getting stressed out, but he ended up coming up with the money. He says the deal goes through and that it's going to close in 6 weeks. And so he tells me what I think I'm going to do is switch my address from Denmark to the States, especially since I have been living in the States more, and I'll be able to save money on taxes. And at this point, I was like, is this tax evasion? He goes, this is absolutely not tax evasion, because I am spending more time in Dallas than I am in Denmark. And I said, okay, well, if you've done research and you feel certain about this, then I believe you. So the deal goes through. It says it's going to close in 6 weeks. And so he said, we should take a trip to celebrate. And I'm like, we don't have any money. And he was like, well, we can just use your credit cards because, you know, like, we'll be able to pay it off whenever the money hits. And this is probably one of the most like idiotic decisions I made. Y'all don't have to tell me this is stupid. I'm fully aware. But we ended up going to Portugal for a week, and we used my credit cards the majority of this trip. He had a little bit of money because, keep in mind, he is working as chief commercial officer for this tech company, and that was 100% real. And he was making about $400,000 a year. Again, 100% real. I, at certain times, have verified the money.
400 grand a year and need 3K. Maybe the dad is right. Maybe there's something going on. Again, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt, right? Because she's just said she T-verified. T-verified basically means she did her homework and verified the accuracy of that information, right? But if you make that much money, Denmark, how did I get paid in Denmark? Maybe in the U.S. that may translate $50,000. I don't know. Let me see real quick.
Hitting his account from his company. So he's making money, even though we're having a lot of financial stress. He's still bringing in a steady income. I'm still bringing in a steady income. So he was able to pay a little bit of the trip, and I was able to pay a little bit of the trip. So we go to Portugal. We have the most spectacular week. I remember that was the week that I decided I want to get married in this country. I love.
Exactly what I thought. 400K Danish money translates to $62,000. I thought so. Okay, perfect. Exactly. So he was making $62,000. So that makes sense.
Love it here. It's so beautiful.
I hope she's not saying 400K like translate to US, right? I hope she's not saying that, right?
I was working still at this time, and with the time difference, I was basically working from like 5 to midnight. And there was one day while we were in Portugal that I was just complaining about working. I'm like, I'm so over this job and I'm not happy with what I'm doing. I was just complaining about it. And he just said, why don't you quit? And I remember looking at him like, what do you mean quit? And he said, well, we have this money coming in and I want you to be happy. I want you to do something that brings you joy, and real estate brings you joy. And I really hadn't been doing a whole lot of real estate that year. And so I told him, I said, well, it's going to be like kind of a transition. I'm not going to be making a lot of money at first. He said, well, we're going to have a cushion. And luckily I make money. I'm going to be able to afford all the bills and you can just focus on building your business back up. And so I was like, are you sure? He said, yes. And let me tell you, everything about this decision, it felt right, but it also felt wrong. And let me tell you, I do not regret quitting my job. I regret the timing because we were not in a great financial.
She quit her job. Oh my
financial position, and I was making like $150,000 a year at this job, so it was a very steady, stable income, and I trusted him to be my provider, and that was stupid. And I have never relied on a man for anything in my entire life, and I will never do it again, like never in a million years. But you know, you live and you learn, and I made the decision to put in my 2 weeks notice. And yes, I know that was idiotic. Y'all don't have to tell me. And so we go to Portugal, come back to Denmark, and we're in Denmark for maybe a day, and then we travel back to Dallas. And at this point,
can we judge now, Nomad? We listen and we don't judge. We're gonna try. We're gonna try. We listen and we don't judge. She just said she quit a job for making $150K for someone, because she said he makes $400K, right? He wasn't working in the US, so he was working in Denmark, right? And that currency to US is like 60 something thousand dollars. So she quit it for some. Maybe she wants to be a YouTuber. I don't know. I am so. She just like sucked the wind out of me, like with this new information now. Now I'm just like going through like a very like depressed state. It's like, seriously? Because now she's gonna blame like, I don't do this for a man. A man has nothing to do with it. Ma'am, you made a bad decision. It's not even good initiative, right? I usually say good initiative, bad judgment, right? This is not even a good initiative, right? This is a bad judgment, bad initiative. Just pure bad. Well, again, we listen, okay? We listen, okay? That's it, okay? Maybe it's time for us to get rid of the judge, okay?
your girl is hurting financially.
Sorry.
Hurting. Because
Sorry.
now I'm accruing like a little bit of credit card debt. My savings is like nothing. And at this point, I'm fully trusting him. And I believe him when he says, we are going to overcome this circumstance very, very, very soon.
We shall overcome.
And at this point, I have not caught this man in a single lie. And obviously, I gave out my trust way too easily. But in my mind, I was thinking, why should I question him when he's never given me a reason to? Which is crazy because I feel like he was giving me all the reasons with all these red flags. But we go back to Dallas, and I remember his sister and her boyfriend came to visit us for a week. And we had a good time with them, but I felt like he was super annoyed with them the entire time. He was complaining. He was just like, I just feel like they're being super cheap. They don't want to do anything. And it just felt like, again, I thought him and his sister would be a lot closer. It was weird. So we have a great trip with them visiting us. And then we go to Miami and meet up with his best friend and his girlfriend. And this was the best friend.
I know people like him. He has a very nomadic-like spirit, right? Maybe his sister and a lot of people around him are like, they like their comfort area. And that's one thing that I think he sees in her too, is that like nomadic spirit. Like she loves, like they're meeting here, they're meeting there. She's financing the whole thing without knowing. He's like, instead of saying, babe, I want to go to Italy, but I need $6,000. He's going to say, babe, my house is broken, so I need $6,000. So I guess to him is like, well, we're going to get married and I want to go traveling. So he has a nomadic spirit, but instead of being truthful, like, hey, I don't have this kind of funds for that, right? He just borrowed the money from her. So yeah, and maybe that's why he was simply just irritated about his sisters and people around him a little bit. You can kind of tell he's a very adventurous person, right? and he loves to use other people's money for it. So let's continue.
With whenever I met him in Croatia. So we're in Miami, and for the most part, we're using my funds for this trip because he's obviously put a lot of his money into this escrow account, and he paid for a little bit of stuff, but he didn't have a whole lot. And I'm expecting this money to hit like any day now. So a couple of days after Miami, we went to Denmark to celebrate his mom's 70th birthday. We had promised her we would go, so we actually booked a round trip flight from Copenhagen when we came back home in June. So now it's August of 2023, and we're in Denmark. And I remember we're at his parents' house, and he comes to me. He's like, "Hey, I just got off the phone with the IRS, and they said they flagged the transaction from the apartment complex." And at first, I'm like pissed. I'm like, "I asked you if this was going to be a problem." He's like, "It's not going to be a problem. They're probably just going to take out like some taxes, not the full amount. They just need to review it, and then we'll figure it out. But I'm not concerned. You shouldn't be concerned either, even though I was super concerned."
I have a theory. I want to hear all your theories, please. Please, please, please hit the like and subscribe, okay? Hit the like and subscribe. I have a theory. It didn't make sense to me for her to quit a $150,000 job, right? I'm like, she's Nigerian. Like, you should know better, right? Like, she got that job not by being dumb, right? I have a theory. I think one of the things is that, like, if you notice, she's been traveling a lot. So I think she probably quit that job is the fact that, like, hey, she probably run out of leave, right? And she just realized that maybe it's best for her to, like, I don't know, do something else, right? Because I just don't want to hear it's absurd to me. Just leave a job to depend on someone who hasn't really shown that they're capable of doing that, right? Capable of taking care of her, right? Because he's borrowing money from her. Like, let the house sale be finalized first. Look at the bank account, see it's there, right? Before you decide to say, hey, okay, maybe it's time for me to leave that job. So maybe it has to do, maybe she's not telling us the whole truth, right? And she should have probably started a video by pledging, I pledge to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, because yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And the amount of traveling she's doing too, it's like, did that infringe on her job? Maybe that's why. Was she fired? Think about that.
He said they set a hearing date for September 10th. At this point, it's the middle of August.
Exactly, because she was spending so much time with him, right? Interesting. So she didn't have the time, and now the traveling. Oh, gee, he got her whooped. He got her whooped, man. Maybe he gave her that few hours service. Like, I don't know. I don't know what he did, but she's digmatized, ladies and gentlemen. This is called digmatized. Okay, sorry, I shouldn't say certain words. It's an afternoon. This is not a nighttime. Okay, so I'm gonna refrain from saying too many obscene stuff. Okay, but yeah, she got that pipe clean. Okay, because I think the friend was a plumber, and she got the pipe clean.
So I'm like, okay, so now I have to be struggling for another month. And so I'm frustrated, but he's also like trying to calm me down, but also like gaslighting me for feeling the way I'm feeling. And so I'm just, all my emotions, I'm just stuffing them in all the way. So we celebrate his mom's 70th birthday. And this is when I meet like his entire extended family, like dad and mom's siblings, all their friends.
Okay.
And I meet the older sister, and she's there. At this point, she's pregnant with her second child. She's there with her first child. I meet her, and she is just such a nice, kind, wonderful human. And I just can't picture her being this evil, crazy woman that beats his mom. And so I remember just feeling a little at odds about that, but you know, I'm still fully trusting.
Well, you can't meet someone for like a day and then all of a sudden you're like you're such a like great judge of character. That's not how it works. Again, at a certain age, you're gonna meet nothing but professionals. Okay, professional liars, professional thieves, professional, like, I don't know, professional everything, right? And they're completely good at what they do. So to judge her by one day says, well, how can I see that? There's a lot of people like that. Okay, so that's not fair.
My ex 100%. So a couple days after his mom's birthday, we're all hanging out at his parents' house and we're grilling, and I remember we all start to notice kind of around the same time that his dad does not look like he's doing well, and we're starting to get a little bit concerned. And that's when my ex's mom makes the decision, like, we need to take him to the hospital. And so We pack his bags, we load him up, we go to the hospital, and I'm freaking out because I don't know if things can take a drastic turn or not. And so we're waiting at the hospital, waiting to see what the doctors will say, and I will continue on in part 12. The Danish Deception, part 11.
Part 12, part 12, part 12. Let's go.
The Danish Deception, part 12. So we are in Denmark at this point, and we just took his dad to the hospital, and I'm freaking out, very worried, don't know what's going on. After the doctors do some testing, they basically determine that he's still dealing with blood poisoning and he has like really high infection numbers, but they're not super concerned. And so we all take a deep breath and we're happy that it's not as serious as we thought it was gonna be. And so after a couple days, he's released from the hospital and it's now time for me to head back to the States. And so obviously I'm feeling all these emotions as I'm leaving. I'm sad because I'm leaving him because, again, we are still very much in love with each other, want to be with each other 24/7, so the goodbyes are still really, really tough. And at this point, I didn't know when he was going to be coming back to Dallas because he had a couple different work meetings going on. And so I fly back to Dallas and obviously feeling all the financial stress. Like, this is probably one of the roughest moments of our relationship, especially because we weren't together physically. So the day of his meeting with the IRS, I remember I was a big ball of nerves. Like, I couldn't even sleep that night. You have to keep in mind that I go to bed and I wake up knowing that I'm waking up to news. I don't know if it's good or bad.
Isn't blood poison the same as sepsis? I have no idea. I can research that. I'll look into it.
So I wake up and I call him. I go, how did it go? He goes, worse than I possibly could have imagined. I almost like expected it to have gone bad. I'm like, if it had gone good, I would have been more surprised. I'm like, what now? He said, well, they scheduled a second hearing for my business account January 10th. And currently my personal account is also under investigation. So they have put a hold on my assets for the next couple months while they continue to investigate. And there's another hearing scheduled for my personal account in October. So basically they froze his assets and told him that he only had like a specific amount of allowance that he was able to use from his money every single month. And I have never heard anything like this. I've never known anyone that have had their assets frozen, and I didn't know how this worked. And obviously at this point, I'm definitely feeling like all the red flags. I'm like, this does not make any sense. But there's not a whole lot I can do. And at this point, I'm just like, the only thing I can do is trust him. There's no one in my life that I was talking to about any of this because I felt a lot of need to protect him and he wanted me to protect his image. And I remember telling him, like, I really want to talk to my family about this. Like, this is really stressing me out. And he's like, no, don't. Like, they're going to view me differently. So he very much talked me out of being able to disclose this stuff with my close people. So the last thing I want to do is just ramble about shit that does not matter. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. Not a whole lot happened between September of 2023 and November of 2023. Okay. The only thing big that happened was that I wanted him to be in Dallas. He wanted to be in Dallas. So I booked him a flight to come to Dallas. I am at this point fully financially supporting us. Like, I think he's getting like maybe like $4,000 a month that the IRS is like allowing him to use. And keep in mind, the Danish IRS is not called IRS. It's called SCAT, some other stuff. I can't even pronounce.
So again, she said he was making like $400,000, but she never specified to see if it's his currency, his local currency, or US dollars, right? And now he's only being allowed to get only $4,000. You see them? Red flags, red flags, red flags. I don't know. I'm starting to... I don't know. It's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. Not looking good.
Announce it. So that's why I'm saying the Danish IRS. So just a little side note. But October comes around. He's now in Dallas. He's been in Dallas for about a month. And we're struggling financially, but still so deliriously happy and in love, which is insane. But I cared about the money, but I loved him more than that. And our relationship was just based on this deep love that we had. And so
I believe that. I believe she was deeply in love with this guy. She was infatuated. It was like infatuation at first that had led to love. Now the question is, I'm still stuck on, is this how you feel about her? Right? Because,
the money was like almost secondary to the love that we shared. And so
and therefore, exactly.
October comes around. He
Exactly.
has the hearing. I'm nervous, and ends up working out in our favor. And his account opens up in October, and I'm so happy. He like immediately sent me, I think like
Okay. I said previously to remember February. Now we're in October, right? So there's no sign of pregnancy yet, right?
$9,000. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. Like we're gonna be able to like come out of this. And he said his business account, that was where the 10 million was supposed to be. That was supposed to be opened up in, well, not opened up. He was supposed to have a hearing set for January 10th. So that was when we were gonna figure out what was gonna happen. And I remember asking him, like, what do you think's gonna happen? He's like, well, I've been like looking at research and there's a chance that they might put in like an 18-month to 24-month hold. I go, 18-month hold? And he said, yeah, but I don't think that's what it's gonna be, but you know, we'll just cross that bridge when we get to it. Again, have never
18
caught him in a
months.
lie at this point. And so basically his personal accounts opened up. So we're alleviated of a little bit of the financial stress, but it's still like a little bit stressful because obviously I had quit my job and I was doing real estate full time. And let me tell you, y'all, I was working my ass off, but it almost was like I was restarting my career because I hadn't been working in real estate much for that whole entire year. So I was 100% relying on him for maybe like the month of November, I would say. But the rest of the months, I was still finding a way to make ends meet. I was still making a little bit of money from like doing like campaigns on Instagram, other things. So I still was like making a little bit. So December rolls around and his 90 days of being in the States is about to be up. So he went back to Denmark the beginning of December. And so my plan was to go and meet him in 2 weeks. So we're gonna spend 2 weeks apart. And so he's in Denmark for about a week and he sends me a message and he says, my dad's back in the hospital. And I was like, no. And so at this point, the plan was for me to go to Denmark and spend Christmas with his family. And this is gonna be my first European Christmas. And I was so excited for the Christmas markets and all the things. But obviously that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is making sure he's okay, making sure his dad gets better. And so I'm going through all these emotions. Number one, I'm missing him. Number two, he's dealing with all of this and we have each other's location. So I can see that he's physically at the hospital in his hometown. So I can confirm that. And so obviously the plan was for me to come in 2 weeks. And he asked me, he's like, what are your thoughts if I move up your flight for you to come in a week? And I said, obviously I need to tie up some things for work, but I would love to be there for you. And he said, okay, like then let's do that. And so I moved up my flight. My sister was watching my dog and I leave. And at this point, the plan is for me to be gone for now 3 weeks. I was originally gonna be gone for 2 weeks. Now it's 3 weeks. And we're still feeling a lot of financial stress. But at this point, like I had like 3 deals in the pipeline. So there's money that's gonna be coming in. But obviously we're still stressed out because like money's coming in, that does not mean the money's there. So we were like up to date on like bills, but still 100% stressing out. And so originally the plan was my ex said that he really wanted to go stay at this hotel called Hotel d'Angleterre in Copenhagen for 1 night before we went to his hometown to like be with his family. Cause his mom had said, I want you guys to just enjoy 1 day in Copenhagen in the Christmas markets before you come home. And so we were like, okay, we'll do that. And so he hadn't booked any of the hotels or anything. And like the day before I'm flying out to Denmark to go see him, he tells me that he just got charged this huge insurance payment for his 2 apartments. Obviously he sold the apartment complex, but his 2 singular apartments that are rented out, he got hit with an insurance payment. And basically it wiped out like everything he had. So again, I'm annoyed. At this point, I'm just like sensing that a lot of this stuff is just bullshit, but I also am just like, it's the holidays, his dad's in the hospital, so I almost feel bad like coming at him whenever he's already dealing with so much. And he had said that his mom had given him money for like hotels, dinners, things in Copenhagen. She was fully aware of like the insurance payment and the financial position he was in, and she wanted to help. And again, she just wanted us to enjoy Copenhagen for 1 day before we came back. So we take the train back to Aalborg. And a good family friend picked us up from the train station. We went home, we had dinner, and then immediately we go to the hospital, see the dad, and like he looks sick, but he looks like he's like in decent spirits. And they said he was gonna be home for Christmas. And so we were really, really happy about that. So over the course of the next couple days, we're going to the hospital like 2 times, 2, sometimes 3 times a day, just to like take his mom there, check on the dad, make sure everything's going okay. And then the dad comes home and like obviously he's super weak and we're like helping him around, but regardless, we had a wonderful Christmas. And even though like we didn't have a lot of money, and I remember like I got him very, very cheap Christmas gifts that year, and same thing for me. I actually told him like, you don't even have to buy me anything, like the gift is being here with your family, and he got me a few small things, but regardless, it was fine. And the day after Christmas, we had gone.
How does this two rich people get together and like end up broken than ever? Like, I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to reason this. Oh man, this is.
Onto a champagne.
I guess I'm starting to get to the point when I just feel like, oh wow, like at some point you kind of, it's not like you deserve it, but like I am starting to judge. I'm starting to judge way too much, okay? Because it doesn't make any sense. Like she's starting to make like very irrational decisions, and the consequences, it's alarming, and she's not still learning from that.
Party at one of his friends' homes, and
I look forward to him. I look forward to his story. We're gonna use Google to translate it. He can. I don't care what language he speaks. I'm gonna be right there to translate. Okay.
You know, I was excited. It wasn't very often that we like went and like.
Yeah, I got that back at part 10. Yeah, it's a little bit like, oh man. Oh. This is gonna be a hard one, guys. It's 3 hours in. This is gonna be a very hard one. Okay. I think I should have gotten a drink. I should have done it at nighttime so I can have a drink or two. Okay.
Like hung out with like friends of his. It was very, very rare. And so we went and we were having a good time. And obviously I didn't know a whole lot of people that were there, but his best friend, the one that he was with when I met him in Croatia, he was there. And we were just chatting outside. And before we had left the house, my ex had told me, I really don't want to go out tonight. Like I just want to go to this party and then come home. And I said, that's totally fine. And so we're at the party, we're outside just hanging out. I'm talking to his best friend. My ex is inside the home. And his best friend tells me, he goes, you guys should come out tonight. Like, please come out. And
do you know what she reminds me of? In Nigeria family, right? Mostly for the women, it's like always focus on your studies. Focus on your studies. Studying's going to get you here. Studying's going to get you here. And she looks like one of those women that actually did listen, right? And what happens that sometimes they try their best to like take you away from like the opposite sex, right? It looks like this is someone who did everything she's supposed to do, but ended up meeting a guy because she didn't have a lot of this experience very young age, that she just fell way too deep, like way too deep, right? And I think this is the case here, right? That her parents bring that Nigerian traditional, like just too like, hey, don't worry about dating and all that stuff, right? Which is good, right? So you can focus on your career, right? But now that she did that, she became successful, I feel like there's a certain loneliness she's getting from that, right? And now meeting this guy, this Denmark prince in Croatia, just gave her a whole different ecstasy that she's never experienced before, that she didn't get before. And you would think with older that she become, right, that she learned this lesson. But again, when you experience something like that at a very older age, I feel like it turns to a tragedy like this, because there's no way I'm leaving a $150,000 job. I loaned you that $6,000, which is good, right? That's why she probably saved a lot of this money, right? And now I'm leaving that job for what? Like, what are you talking about?
Honestly, I'm down to go out, but my ex doesn't want to go out. And that was really weird for him because he always is down to like go out and have a good time. So I already thought it was a little strange. And then his best friend looks at me, he goes, oh, he probably doesn't want to run into any of his enemies from his past gambling addiction.
Oh.
I looked at him and I said, what gambling addiction? And his best friend looks at me and goes, you didn't know that he had a gambling addiction? And we will pick up the rest in part 13.
Okay.
The Danish deception.
Here we go. Part 13. Okay, here we go. We listen.
The Danish
okay?
deception.
We can judge now. We listen.
Part 13. So just to recap, I was spending Christmas with my ex and his family.
Someone say you were married to the bearer of bad news. Who else is tired but can't stop watching this guy? Seriously. I'm tired of it a little bit, but I'm 3 hours in, but I cannot stop watching. Why would a friend say that? I believe that. Your friends, because the friends are not lying. Like, I believe my friends would say some stuff, because again, they know me, right? So I feel like the friends are not trying to friends take you for who you are. So that's how the friends probably kind of deliver it. So the friends not saying, hey, he does crack on the weekends, right? No, they're not saying that. It's like, hey, he has a gambling stuff going on. He probably didn't say it as the way she presented it, right? Probably say, hey, he likes to gamble a little bit here and there. She's like, I never knew that. Maybe that's where the money is going to, right?
Denmark, and the day after Christmas, we go to a champagne party, and that's where his best friend told me that he used to have a gambling addiction. So when I hear this, I wonder
if he said gambling addiction or he likes to gamble, right? And she translate that later on to like gambling addiction, because she's like, that's what all my money's going to.
Full panic.
And please don't forget, we're in $32,000, okay? Don't forget.
Mode. I'm questioning everything, and I'm freaking out. I remember it was so cold in Denmark, and I was outside, not even wearing a jacket, and I was sweating because I was just like so overheated. And so I asked him, I go, I had no idea. And at this point, his best friend is like mad, like he's angry. He's like, are you serious? Like, you didn't know? And I was like, yeah, no, I had no idea. He was like, he told me that he told you. I go, he absolutely did not tell me. And I've loaned him a lot of money over the course of a year and a half. And he said he owed me money. I was like, he was like, he paid me back the money he owed me, but he did take money from me at one point. And yeah, it was bad. It was like 10 years ago. And so immediately I'm like, can you go inside the house and get him? So he gets my ex walks out. He goes, what's wrong, babe? And I said, do you have a fucking gambling addiction? I remember I screamed it in his face. I did not even care that I was causing a scene. I was just so mad. And he looks at me, he goes, I mean, I did, but it was like 10 years ago, which did check with what his best friend said, that it was 10 years ago. I was young, I was dumb, I was stupid. I would never, ever go back to that. And I'm like, well, let's play back all the times that I've given you money. Tell me how to make this make sense. And he's like, I have truly just had a year of so many downs, and I promise you, I would never in a million years gamble away your money. And I don't know what to do to prove it. And I was like, well, this insurance payment that you just told me about, I'm gonna need to see proof of that. At this point, I'm like, I need to see proof. I've been drinking all night, and we get home and I'm just ripping him to shreds. Like, and honestly, he's taking it. He tried a little bit to gaslight me, and I just was like, you're not gonna gaslight me. You're in the wrong, you lied, you have an addiction, and you didn't tell your wife, and you're the problem. And so we spent a while just fighting. I actually ended up going to bed that night, and the next morning, I'm obviously still very angry, very hurt. And he was working in the office in his parents' house. And so after he finishes working, I'm like, we need to go for a walk, because obviously his parents were home and they didn't know what was going on. And his parents are really old at this point. I just like didn't want to bring.
Someone said, and left a comment that says, one thing y'all gonna do is take a trip.
Like any chaos or anything, any drama to the family, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, I should have brought the whole family into what was going on, but I guess my natural instinct was to protect him. And so we go on a walk, and obviously I'm angry, and he like pulls up this document showing me the invoice from the insurance, and it aligns with like the amount that he told me that he had to pay. And so I'm still angry, hurt, all the feelings. And he goes, look at me right now. And I looked at him. He goes, do you really think, you know me, do you really think I'm capable of doing this to you and taking your money and throwing it away? And I looked him in the eye, and I was like, I mean, no, because at this point I had never ever seen a side to him that would ever hurt me intentionally or unintentionally. Like, I feel like he always had my best interests at heart, and that he was just a guy going through hard times. So maybe it's because I'm brainwashed at this point, but I end up deciding to believe him. And especially because he showed me proof. I also asked to see his bank statements, and everything checked out. And so I let it go. And I said, okay, well, do not ever lie to me again. You're my husband, I'm your wife, and you're gonna be honest with me going forward. And if I catch you in a lie again, like, we're gonna have some problems. Already had plans to go to Budapest for New Year's.
Sorry guys. I'm reading some of the comments. And to take it to the talk, someone says he's a series of unfortunate events. Well, but again, I've never heard someone so broke and love to go traveling like this that she does. It's kind of interesting.
Following New Year's, and we found some really cheap flights and a cheap hotel. Honestly, we didn't spend a whole lot of money on that trip, and that's part of the reason why we went.
Okay, got it.
But we went there for New
I think the kind of broke she talks about is not my kind of broke. Our type of broke is just a different kind of broke, right?
Year's, had a good time. As you can probably imagine, I paid for that entire trip. After Budapest, we went back to Copenhagen for one day, and then I went back to
Oh no.
the Danish deception.
Oh no. What did I do? I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. Where were we? Is it? I think it's 13. Sorry.
The Danish deception, part 13. So, just to recap, I was spending Christmas with my.
Sorry.
Because if he had just like breezed past the date, I would have felt like, okay, he's lying about this whole everything, the business account. And so you're doing well at this point. Like,
I'm sorry. I was reading the comments. I tried to go down, and it went to the next video. Sorry.
I was doing well with real estate, and he's like, I have my job, and I don't foresee any crazy things happening, so we'll be fine. Don't worry, we'll be okay. And obviously at that point I wanted to trust him fully, but I also didn't. So I told him I need to see proof of this, and that's when he shows me email confirmation from his lawyer confirming that there was an 18-month hold. But then we ended up canceling the vacation just because we wanted to save some money, and so we ended up just being here for our anniversary. And so we went to a nice restaurant here in Dallas, one of our favorite ones, and we go to dinner, and he's ordering like really expensive wine. Like I think he ordered like a $400 or $500 bottle of wine, and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, it's our anniversary. And I'm like, I know, but we need to be saving money. And then afterwards, one of my good friends was at a cocktail bar and said, hey, you guys should come.
See, people are balling way too different. Like, where's this money coming from? Why would I go to a restaurant and pay $400 for a wine when I can go to the liquor store and buy the exact same bottle for like maybe $60? Right? That's insane.
Meet us, and we were like, sure. I asked him if he was down. He said, yeah, let's do it. So we go, and we go to this cocktail bar. My friend is there. She's celebrating a birthday of another one of her friends, someone that not super close friends with, and they're with like a big group of girls. So I just went to go say hi to her, see her, say hello. And before I know it, my ex is like, I'm gonna buy everyone around his shots. And we're at a cocktail lounge, it's like kind of expensive, and I'm like, is that really necessary? Like, I feel like, and I looked around and everyone had a drink in their hand. I'm like, we don't need to do that. He's like, oh no, it's her birthday, let's do it. I'm like, you don't even know who that girl is. Like, why does it matter? And I remember just being super annoyed because I knew he had just spent like $800 at dinner, and we're at this cocktail lounge, and I realized like he's running up a bill here, and he's just chugging old fashions. And he wasn't the biggest drinker. Like, he drank, and sometimes he would get like really drunk, but it was like pretty rare, and most times he could drink and handle his alcohol very well. And so tonight was really weird because I'm like, we're celebrating our anniversary, and you would think that he just like wants to be intentional with our time spending it together, and instead it just feels like he's just slamming these drinks. And I was so confused by why he felt the need to get this drunk. And so he's having a conversation with my friend, and I'm like seeing him, and he's like slurring his words, and then he's talking to my friend, and I see like a little bit of spit come from his mouth and like land on like her shoulder, and she like wiped it away, and I was like, what the fuck is that? That's disgusting. And so he's drank his like third old fashioned, and then I look up and he's ordering another one, and I look at him, I say, are you sure you should order another drink? And he looks at me, he goes, who do you think you are to tell me when I like what I can and can't drink? And I said, excuse me, I'm just saying, do you need to have another drink? Like, do we need to get belligerent tonight? And before I know it, he's basically just going off on me, saying that I'm disrespecting him, and I shouldn't be telling him that he needs to slow down and that he's a man. And I'm just confused because we've never really like had arguments like this before. And I'm like, what's your problem? And he's like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go. And I was like, okay, let's go. So we get into the Uber, about to go home, and I'm like, what is your problem? He's like, I just don't like it when you disrespect me in public like that. And I was like, I didn't disrespect you in public. It's not like I yelled, hey, you're drunk, stop drinking. I literally told you right next to you, like there was no one else around. I just said, hey, maybe you should slow down on the drinking. Y'all, I don't know what happened next, but this huge, intense fight spiraled out. We get into the house, and we are now screaming at each other. He's telling me that I disrespected him, and now I'm getting mad because I'm like, you're drunk right now. Like, what's going on? Like, you never behave like this.
The fight escalates and he ends up walking out of the home. And I'm like, where are you going? And he said, don't worry about me. I'm going to get a hotel tonight and then we're going to see where we stand. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And we will continue on in part 14.
Someone left a comment that says, I gave a man $15 when I was 19. And I still think about that. I'm 33 now. It's like $32,000. Yeah. So again, episode 14. Let's go part 14. Guys.
The Danish.
Guys, maybe we're going to have a part 2 because I'm kind of feeling sleepy. Like the story it started off with promising, but I just feel now it's just like, I don't know. Now it's just like, it sounds like some rich people problem. It sounds like some, I don't know, there's nothing there. Part 14, there's nothing there. Like, he's not saying anything. He's like, she's giving him money for like willingly. Like, I don't know. It's nothing there. I feel like stopping now, but it's just like, it's like a snail to me now. It's just so boring. Oh God.
Deception part 14. I have Smokey here.
Oh Jesus
because
Christ.
I truly need emotional support to tell this part of the
So
series.
dramatic.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. I know she lent him some money, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. At what point does like if she's gonna lend him whole lot more money? So at what point does this $29,000 stop? If she said it was $32,000, as we know now, right? But we still have more to the series, and apparently it's gonna be more than 130 grand, right? But there's nothing he's gonna say now that's gonna even like she should have cut her loss. And that's the thing about investing, right? You need to know when to cut your loss. And let's say, want to hear how it turns out. Who was pregnant? Did she divorce him yet? Was she pregnant? Maybe. Where did I get that from? No, she hasn't divorced him yet. This is the first major fight. They went out. They don't have any money, but he spent like hundreds. He wants to buy a bottle for like hundreds of dollars and all this stuff. But again, I'm a little bit. We'll see. Maybe we should do maybe 5 more in the call today. We'll see where this is gonna go.
It was a hotel, and I'm so baffled and confused. And like the messages he's sending me are just so insane. And this is a side to him that I've never seen before. And I remember I called my best friend Sarah that was living in Germany at the time because of the time difference. She was awake, and I'm just bawling my eyes out. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And like, she comforted me a lot, but I just.
Yeah, jealous. Yeah, I made it up about the pregnancy. Well, that's the only way I can rationalize some of the thinking, because maybe a kid got involved with something, because he lives in a different country. You need to cut your losses like $32,000. It got to be a kid involved with something, because I think when she said when they got married, I was thinking maybe she was pregnant. That's why they kind of like kid got involved somewhere, and they kind of want to make it right before like the kids come in, right? But if she's not pregnant and this stuff keep dragging, and he keep like, I don't know, saying something, and she keep giving him money, at some point it's like when are you gonna learn? Maybe does this person even exist? Because one thing I totally forgot to mention too is that she was in a TV show. So I wonder if it's all part of the whole like promotion theme she has going on. Is this person really real?
Was hurt and upset and angry. Just why is he treating me like this? And so the next day he says that he's going to come back and get some more of his things and go back to the hotel. And so I'm like, we're still doing this? And he comes over and I'm like, can we have a conversation? He's like, what's there to talk about? Like,
yeah, she was in a Bachelor, right? Is this a promo run? I'm expecting something explosive like this and that, and it's dragging. I'm falling asleep on this. I'm falling asleep on the mic. Pause.
I don't know what to talk about. Like, you disrespected me last night, and at this point, I'm like, let's have a conversation about it. And he's like, it's being extremely stubborn about the situation, but over time, he finally is like, okay, it's fine. Like, I'll unpack my bags, I'll stay. And I'm obviously pissed off that he just dropped $1,000 on a hotel room, which he spent like $1,500 the night before for our anniversary, and just dropped another $1,000 on a hotel room. It's just like,
spending money so unnecessarily, and it's making me so mad. But I was like, I just want to keep the peace, so I let it go. And even though I'm still very confused at why he's behaving this way. So a couple days go by, and I get a message from one of my really, really good girlfriends, and she says, hey, I've been wanting to reach out to you for some time, but did you know that your ex owes my husband $200,000? And I remember I was like eating lunch. I was next to my ex, I was eating lunch, and I'm just like, I read this message and I couldn't breathe. Like, I literally could not breathe. And I look at him and I go, what the fuck is this? And he was like, oh, well, you know, we were working this crypto deal where we were selling watches at a profit, and he's being super picky about how much profit he wants to get. I'm trying to find the right buyer, but I'll find it and we'll be fine. And I was like, so you kept that, you have this money that you owe this man and you lied to me about it? He's like, well, money's currently in watches and it's gonna be fine. Like, I just need to sell them. And so I was like, okay, even though like it's like red flags after red flags, I'm like, there's something up. So I'm really upset at this point, because you don't borrow money from a friend, this amount of money from a friend, and not discuss it with your wife. And so I told him, I'm like, I'm really upset with you that like you didn't talk to me about this, but you know, it's fine. Well, I didn't say it's fine. I just said, this is unacceptable. And I remember that day we really didn't communicate much with each other. We weren't like screaming or fighting with each other. I just like really decided that I wanted to distance myself from him. What he did not know was that I was going to message my friend separately and ask her to ask her husband if the story that was communicated to me by my ex was true. So I asked her, and she responds to me and says, no, this is not correct. And at this point, it's the husband that's communicating. And for the purposes of this playlist and series, I'm going to refer to these individuals as Crypto and Crypto's wife. So Crypto is the one that's responding, and he's saying, no, none of this is true. He told me he had the watches sold a long time ago. He told me he was going to transfer the money, and I've been asking him, and he's been giving me the turnaround time. And, you know, when his dad was in the hospital, I was trying to be respectful, but also like, you know, this is affecting my work because he works very much in crypto. And so I'm reading these messages, and I'm still reading it, and I get to the end, and he said, and just so you know, I had someone look into the wallet that I sent money to.
Hey,
and
crypto.
It's been linked to a gambling website since 2023. And that's when I realized that he was gambling. And in that moment, I just fully collapsed to the ground. I remember I was in the kitchen, and it was like I couldn't even stand anymore. Like, I just collapsed to the ground, and I'm just like crying. And he's like, what is it? I'm like, you're lying to me, you're gambling. And he was like, no, I'm not, like, still lying. And I'm just like, just tell me the truth. Be honest with me for once in your life. Tell me the truth. And he's like, I promise you I'm not gambling. And then I grab his face and I pull it to me, and I scream in his face. I said, tell me the fucking truth. And he looks at me and he goes, okay.
That's assault.
I've been gambling. And honestly, I was just quiet. Like, it was just 30 seconds of just silence. And this next part is gonna make you all a little confused, but I actually had a showing 30 minutes after that exact moment. So I went upstairs, I changed, and I grabbed my keys, and I left the house, and I went and showed a house. And it was the most bizarre thing ever. Like, I was in front of clients smiling, even though like everything around me felt like it was crumbling. So he's obviously texted me like, please, like, come home after your showing. Like, I want to have a conversation. And I'm saying, right now, I just feel like I can't talk to you. So I went to a park, and I called my best friend Natalie, and I told her, I was like, hey, I have some news for you. She's like, what's up? You can talk to me. And I told her, I said, he has a gambling addiction, and I just completely lose it. Sorry, you guys, I get emotional at this part. I just completely lose it. And like, Natalie's my best friend. I love her so much. And just being able to like have someone finally to like be open and honest about what was happening made me feel so good, because I felt like I could just release.
I'm starting to feel I wasted 3 hours. I'm starting to feel that this is BS.
Everything.
This is BS.
And she was 100% there for me. She lives in New York, but she was like, whatever happens, I don't give a fuck about him. I give a fuck about you. So where do we go from here? And I was like, I don't know where we go.
I'm expecting to hear he has a family, blah, 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 gambling. Seriously? Crypto wife, watch and then travel. Okay.
Like,
I gotta read the comments. Maybe I'm gonna read the comments left on the TikTok page. So maybe that kind of like motivate my spirit.
I'm with this man that I love more than anything in the world. I find out he's been lying to me. I find out that he's stolen money from our friends, and I'm just like completely wrecked. I'm like, I don't know where to go from here. And she's like, something you need to know is that this is the rest of your life.
Okay,
this is it.
I'm not gonna stop.
This isn't something that just goes away. This is addiction. And she had experience with a gambling addiction specifically and has seen the damage it's caused. And so she said, this is the rest of your life. Whatever you decide, I will support you, but this will be the rest of your life. And so after that, I go inside the house and he's like, I want to talk. And I'm like, I like still was not ready to talk.
If she would have came back and said he has a crack addiction, right? He has, I don't know, he has a this and that. He has an African wife, then he has an Asian wife, then he has a South American wife. I'm like, oh my God, where are we going with this, right? But addiction, seriously? If
to him, but I decided to call Crypto's wife, who's my good friend. And I talked to her on the phone, and the first thing I said, I just started bawling my eyes out. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I felt so much guilt, like, that I didn't know that all this stuff was happening, and I had no idea. And I just told her, I'm so sorry. And let me just take a moment and tell you, I don't know if Crypto and Crypto's wife are gonna come forward, but they are two of the most beautiful people I've ever known in my entire life. And after what they went through, like, they had every right to like go to the police and ruin our lives. And instead they had empathy and they had love for me. And they were just like, whatever we can do to support you, like, money comes and goes. Obviously we'll figure that out later, but what can we do to support you? And I just was like, I don't know how to be with someone that lies to me and that I don't trust. Like, I don't know what to do. But you know, at the same time, like, I got married. We said our vows, and we said in sickness and in health, and this is a sickness. And I have no experience with addiction at all. None, zero. Like, I don't even know where to begin. And so I just start doing research and like looking at like podcasts and reading books. And at this point, I'm still very much distancing myself from him. And then I look up Gamblers Anonymous meeting, and I find one here in Dallas, and it was an open meeting happening. And I told him, I said, you know, it's still really hard for me to like talk with you, but let's go to this GA meeting. And so we go to the GA meeting. Everyone's like going around circle, telling their stories. I'm just bawling my eyes out during this whole entire thing, because I'm hearing like the saddest stories, and I'm hearing like the most beautiful success stories. And so in a way, it like made me understand the depth of what I was going through, but it also gave me hope. And so I, for some reason, still felt like there was like a lot that I didn't know about him. Like, there was stuff missing in my gut and my soul. And I kept asking him, is there anything else you need to tell me? Is there anything else you need to tell me? He said no. At this point, I am still in constant communication with Crypto and Crypto's wife. And Crypto tells me, I was wondering, how would you feel about me hiring a PI to look into his past? And I said, 100%, please do it. And we will continue on in part 15.
Adios míos. Not gonna lie to you
Danish
guys. I am so over this, but we'll see.
Deception, part 15. So before I dive back into the series, there's a few things I wanted to say. The first being that I am giving you guys majority of bad, and there was a lot of good times in our relationship. I would say
Someone said you need a PI, private investigator, to learn he didn't go to the Olympics.
I was happy 90% of the time, despite the financial struggles that we were going through. And he was what I thought was a very selfless and caring individual. And the other people in my life would also attest to that. There were a lot of times that he did not have money in his account, but when he did, he was very, very generous with it. He was the type of person that would buy whatever people need, would treat them, and I viewed him as selfless. He also was the type of person that would drop anything at any time to help someone in need. So because of those reasons, I truly believed he was a good quality human. I now know that a lot of those things were self-serving, but I wanted to make a note of that so that you guys didn't think it was just like all bad at all.
Yes, the counting the trips would have been a good drinking game.
Like money exchange every single day. It was not like that at all. The other thing I wanted to bring up is the comments. Obviously, I've gotten some negative ones and some positive ones. I want to speak on the positive ones first. Thank you so much. I did not expect to be received at all.
No problem.
Honestly, I couldn't care. People that are making the negative comments, to reflect on what you're saying. No criminal history found whatsoever. So what's going to come up? Like, I feel like, do I even know this man? And so after a couple days, Crypto sends me a text and he says, okay, here are the preliminary findings. The first thing was that there was no criminal history found whatsoever. So that made me feel a little
perfect. She got her T-facts. So now let's really hear the background of the guy.
good, because I was like, okay, maybe this situation with Crypto is kind of like an isolated incident, and it's not like as bad as I think it is. Like, he didn't like con like a ton of people in Denmark. And then the big thing that he found was that my ex did not go to the Olympics, not once and not twice. And when I found this out, I was sick to my stomach. And the first thing that I felt was embarrassment, because like, why did I not look this up? And I think the reason why I didn't look it up is because the way he downplayed it, like, oh, I didn't play, I was like backup of the backup. It just was like an afterthought to me. It's also why I didn't like bring it up to other people. There's a lot of people that didn't even know that he mentioned that he went to the Olympics, because I didn't really talk about it, because it was like I said, it was an afterthought. And so I was just deeply upset by this information, just to know that someone could lie about something like this. I was like, this is truly sick. When I received this message, I was at an open house, and luckily it was a vacant house and there was no one in this home. So I had my time to do some research, and I started looking through our WhatsApp messages and videos, trying to just reflect on all the things that he told me. And I see the photos that he sent me of his apartment in Copenhagen, the one that he had sold a year prior. And so I downloaded the photos, and then I reverse Google image searched them, and it pulled up an interior designer's home in Germany. And that just fully sent me completely, because obviously this is a house that he just purchased and sold and made that $500,000 in profit, and half of it went towards the tax bill and half of it went to his friend's plumbing business. And so I'm just like, this is so sick and disgusting. I can't believe someone would have the audacity to lie about this. So I go back home. He actually was at the gym, so I'm just home spiraling, waiting for him to get back. And he walks in, and the second he walks in, I immediately say, I need you to sit down, we need to have a talk. And he automatically looks kind of,
I'm a little perplexed if we're being troll, if the whole thing is one big troll. Because that's the first thing you would do, right? You get something from someone, and we're not talking about 2020, or we're talking about 2023, 2024. Wouldn't you want to do an image reverse search?
annoyed. He's like, what now? Because obviously we'd been really going through it the past week with like finding out about his addiction. He's been going to GA meetings. I've been wanting to talk about his addiction all day, every day, because I want to get as much information as possible. And so he's just like, I'm drained, I'm tired. I'm like, sit down, we need to talk. So he sits down and I say, did you go to the Olympics? And he goes, yes, I did. I go, no, I'm going to ask you one more time. Did you go to the Olympics? He goes, I went to the Olympics. So I say, okay, well, I'm going to give your mom a call and I'm going to verify it with her.
So I pull up my phone and I dial her number. It actually rings once. And he goes, okay, I didn't go to the Olympics. And I just remember just sitting there and just being like, who lies about something like that? And I told him, on top of that, you also lied about the apartment that you were living in. I was like, this is sick. And at this point, I'm spiraling because I don't know what's real or what's fake. And so I tell him, listen, I saw the email from your lawyer about the business account, so I feel like I got the proof I needed for that, but I do need proof about the other 2 apartments in Copenhagen. He said, absolutely. And that's when he pulls up the lease agreements, and obviously the lease agreements are like all in Danish, but he's like translating it for me. There's like the name, there's the address, there's the amount they're paying, it's their lease term, all these things. And so I was like, okay, I felt like this was proof. And so at this point, I like don't know where we go from here. And like, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, like 100%, I was thinking about just picking up the phone, calling my family, and just being like, this is happening, I need to leave him. But I'm still so in love with this man. I can't picture a life with
I'm not gonna call out every single thing that I observe because it's just gonna be insane. Then I'm just gonna pause the video every second. Like the fact, like maybe that's why she's on ticket. She's in Ticket to the Talk. She's not in Google because has she ever heard like using Google Translate for the documents? Because she's literally let him read the document in his language, right, and kind of interpret. And it makes no sense. But I'm just gonna let it play, okay? Let's just go through this real fast.
him. Despite everything that he's put me through, I just felt like I could not say goodbye to him. And I really just felt like disease is the enemy, not him. So we need to work as a team and fight it together and overcome this. And I felt like we were capable of anything at this point, you know? And especially like with the challenges that we had already gone through, I felt like we were invincible, like we could overcome anything. That's the mentality that I was going into it with. And so obviously I'm talking to him about my reservations. I was like, I don't know where we go from here. Like, and I did tell him that I didn't know like how to move forward. And that's when he just like starts crying and he's just like, I love you so much. Like whatever I can do to prove to you that I will be the man that you deserve, I will do it. And he was like, I am sick to my stomach about what I did to Crypto and his wife. I saw him and he was, you know, living such a great life. And in my mind, I thought like I could take some of his money and like make more money. And then I could give him, this interest and then we would have some money. And I was like, listen, this is all delusion. And at this point I've done a lot of research on gambling addiction. And it's like, it's all a delusion centered around this dream world where you're going to provide these cars and nice and luxuries to the people that you love when you get your big win, and it never happens. And so I just said, listen, you need to know, and I know you already know this, I don't need these things. I don't need the big house, the fancy cars. I don't need any of this. I don't. Like, I'm happy just being here in Dallas with you and just hanging out with Smokey on the couch watching movies. I don't need any of this. And I did feel so ill and disgusted, but I'm still so in love with him. Despite the lies, despite everything, the love was still 100% there. And so I communicated to him, I said, listen, things have got to change or you're gonna lose me, plain and simple. And he said, I will do anything I can to keep you. And like, this is my first time seeing him cry, and as you guys
Aloha and welcome. She's delusional and it's sad.
Can assume I'm a very empathetic person. So at that time, I just went over to him and hugged him, and we both just like cried together for like an hour. And it felt like the breakthrough I had been waiting for our entire relationship, because I'd never seen this emotional side to him. And I felt like, okay, like we've had this breakthrough, now we can move forward. And so we had already had a trip booked to Colombia because he only could be in the States for 90 days. So we're like, where can we go that's affordable and you can reset the 90 days without having to fly all the way back to Denmark? And so we went to Cartagena, Colombia, and it was a very affordable trip. And I know a lot of you are thinking,
Oh, Jesus Christ. A trip. Another trip. Oh, man. She fell in love with a liar and still doesn't realize it. And girl, your friends are talking about you behind your back. They love themselves some trip. I love me a trip too, so.
like, how are you traveling? He was making a very steady income, and once I found out about the gambling, like his account was like stacking back up. I had told him like, we're gonna reach out to Crypto, we're gonna set up a payment plan. And I had told Crypto about the trip to Colombia that we had already booked, so that I didn't seem like we were being disrespectful towards him. I had a feeling that he had had the ring for some time and that he was going to propose, and he knew that he could not propose to me with everything that was going on, and he needed to take time. And by the time we were going to Colombia, I felt like we were getting our lives back on track. We were obviously stacking up our money again, and I felt like he was being open and honest with me. He would talk to me about his addiction. He was going to GA meetings every single week, but I still did not feel comfortable accepting a proposal unless he made amends with Crypto and Crypto's wife. And so I told him the day before we went to Colombia, I said, we need to go and have a sit down conversation with Crypto and Crypto's wife. And obviously I realize now that my ex should have been the one to suggest that we go make amends with Crypto and Crypto's wife. But regardless, we go there the day before we go to Colombia, we go to their house and we sit down in front of Crypto and Crypto's wife, and I will pick back up in part 16.
Okay, what do you guys think of the story so far? Part 16, let's go.
The Danish Deception, part 16. Okay, let me recap a little bit for you guys.
Oh, no.
So it is now April of 2020, feeling so emotional. And we sit down and we just, at first we're just sitting, talking, catching up. And then finally, and you can tell it's like the elephant in the room for like the first 30 minutes that we're there. And then finally, I was the first one that spoke. I was just like, I just want to speak on behalf of myself and say that you guys are just two amazing human beings, and the empathy that you showed us, even when it wasn't deserved, will never go unnoticed. And I just, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say I'm sorry for not being more vigilant and realizing the situation that we were in. And then my ex began.
Yeah, I thought they were married too. Yeah.
Began to talk, and he basically just said, I know that I did these things, but it almost was like I was a different person. Like it felt like I wasn't in control of myself and my actions. And it was just, you know, he was just speaking from the heart and just saying like this addiction took over me and I almost didn't know right from wrong. And Crypto and Crypto's wife both took turns talking, and they were just so understanding. And, you know, they communicated, we understand this is a disease and we still care about you both, and we still want to have both of you in our lives. And it just felt like it was a great conversation, and I felt like we can move forward from here. We're going to set up a payment plan and everything's going to be okay. And so the next day we go to Cartagena, Colombia, have a spectacular time. And I was kind of expecting the proposal throughout the trip, and I didn't know when it was going to come. And then there was a night that we went to dinner, and then we went out for a drink, and then we came back home. And the hotel we were staying at had a rooftop that was like overlooking the city.
I'm Jalal, like, I thought they were married too. I think the February, yeah, she said they were married already. I think they wanted to do it formally. Yeah, now I'm a little bit confused.
And so
again, I was thinking like it's a child's gonna be part of this, but it's not, because like how in the beginning she wanted to marry him, right? I felt like maybe she was pregnant or something, right? She wanted to kind of make it like traditional, right? And I know like parents probably don't want that, like have baby out of a wedlock, right? But yeah,
we went up there with a
this
bottle
doesn't make any sense. I thought they were already married, so
of wine, and we're just drinking wine and just talking. And
yes.
I, at that moment, just felt so
this is a mistake.
for-
This is a mistake in the script. This is a mistake in the Matrix. Yeah, this. I thought this was gonna be a good one. Like we're gonna go places. It's a Disney ducktail.
him and for his sobriety and for his honesty. And before I know it, I look down and he's down on one knee and he tells me, I know this isn't your dream proposal, and I know I've let you down a lot, but I will make it up to you.
Because she said like he didn't have a ring, right? Like, is this deja vu? Like, what's happening?
And I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be the man that you
Because
deserve.
initially she said when he proposed he didn't have a ring or something like that. Well, what the?
And at this point, I'm just hysterically crying, and I'm so happy. And it really did feel like the happiest moment of my life. And the yes
was so easy. There was not a doubt in my mind. It kind of felt like it did whenever we got married. There was no hesitation, but it felt much more deeper this time around because now I know about his flaws and I know about his struggles, and I know he's not this, perfect individual, which nobody's perfect. We're just imperfect people that come together and try to have a relationship. So after Cartagena, we come back and, we're just trying to enjoy ourselves, enjoy being engaged, sharing it with our family and friends, because at this point we can actually tell our friends and family, like, we're spending forever together. So we are so just happy to be able to take it all in. And Easter comes around, and I remember I was making a roast, and I had one of my friends was over, and my little sister, and I'm making a roast, and we're eating on Easter Sunday after we went to church, and my ex gets a message from his mom, and she's like, I need you to call me right now. And she never does that. So obviously we're freaking out, and I'm like, what's going on? He goes upstairs and he's gone for maybe like a couple minutes, and I can hear him talking in Danish. And then he comes downstairs and I'm like, what's happening? He was like, well, my dad's back in the hospital because he was going to therapy and like fell and broke his hip, and he went to go get a hip replacement surgery. And after the surgery, like, he was like, recovering fine, and then out of nowhere his heart stopped and they had to resuscitate him, and he's fine now, but his mom just wanted us to know. And so I'm like freaking out, and we didn't really know what was going to happen when we went to bed that night. So we wake up the next morning, we get the news that he's doing just fine, and I just remember feeling so relieved because we didn't know what we were gonna wake up to. To this day, I don't know why his heart stopped, but regardless, we're just happy he was doing good. So over the course of a month, his dad's health is, he's still doing good. Me and my ex are doing really, really good. We just got engaged to the world. Finances are getting better. He's being honest with me. He's still going to GA meetings, and I feel like things are getting better. And so we traveled to Panama for my 30th birthday, and we were with my sister and some of my friends and my ex, and he was actually the only guy on this trip, which was 100% unintentional. And we're on our way to Panama, and while we're in the air, obviously my phone's on airplane mode, and we land, and I take the airplane mode off, and I look at my phone, and I have all these calls from his sister and his sister's boyfriend. And so I'm a little bit confused. I open up the messages, and I see that she's saying, you need to call me immediately. Immediately, I was like, oh, something bad's happened. And so I look at my ex, I show him the messages, and obviously he has similar messages as well on his phone when he turns it on. And so he was like, there's nothing we can do. We're sitting on a plane. Let's just.
I'm going to steal the title. Someone says the Danish deception, destination, and delusions. Okay, I'm going to change my title, okay?
Get off the plane, and then I'll call her. So we get off the plane, and we just kind of step aside. He calls her, and he's like, okay. And he's talking in Danish, so I don't really understand what's going on. And then he gets off the phone. I was like, what happened? He was like, oh, his heart stopped and they weren't able to resuscitate him. And I was like, what? And I was like, your dad died? And it was the most uncomfortable position for me because he did not show any emotion at all. And I was like, are you okay? And I just remember just holding his hand. I was like, what can we do? What can I do for you? He's like, honestly, let's just go through customs and let's get to the hotel and then we'll figure it out there. And it was the most bizarre situation ever because it's his dad's death did not faze him at all. And I am someone that's very, very close to my dad. And so I put myself in his shoes and I'm like, I'd be wailing on the floor, screaming at the top of my lungs. And so, I know everyone deals with grief differently. I just wanted to support him in any way I could. So we go to the hotel and his mom calls him and we're on FaceTime and she's just bawling her eyes out. And I saw one tear come from his eye. And that's when I realized it felt like he was more sad that his mom was sad than he was and that his dad died. Again, this is me just making assumptions. I don't know for a fact that was what he was feeling, but I did feel a little bit strange. And at this point, I'm looking at flights to go back to Dallas so that we can get on a plane to go to Aalborg, Denmark to be there for his family. And so I'm looking at flights and he's talking to his mom on the phone. He gets off the phone and he was like, we're actually gonna stay. I go, we're gonna stay. He's like, it's your 30th birthday. I just talked to my mom. She does not want us to leave. the funeral's not gonna be for a week, so we're just gonna enjoy our time here and then we're gonna go back home. And I'm like, this is so weird. Like, how am I supposed to celebrate my birthday when my father-in-law just passed away? It just felt so wrong. And I just remember, like, we tried our best to have a good time on the trip, but it was just like, we were sad every day. And there was one night that my ex got really bad food poisoning. We had to get a doctor into the room to give him an IV. It just felt like everything was going wrong. And so I am not gonna lie, I need to go back to Panama and experience it again, because that trip was like not it. And I wanted to make something very clear. He paid for everything for that trip to Panama. So like flight, hotel, and all the meals for everyone, including me and the girls that were on the trip. So we go back to Dallas for one day and then we head to Denmark, and it was so nice being there for his family. It was so emotional, and seeing his mom cry, just be so sad, it like broke my heart. Again, I'm not sensing a whole lot of emotion from my ex, but you know, like I said before, everyone.
Holy moly. The chair that she has, right, in the back, that's the same chair I have. The one in the back by the lamp. I'm so out of this story, and I'm just like looking around. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just looking around like, oh, nice clock, nice this. The exact same chair, that's what I have too.
Processes their grief in different ways. But we go to the funeral, and I remember I'm sitting in the front row holding my ex's hands, and I look up at him and I see like he's like starting to cry like at the funeral, and that's the first time I've seen him cry. And so I was like, okay, there's emotion there. Like, I don't know where like the emotion's coming from. Like, is it coming from like losing his dad, resentment, from, you know, regrets? I really don't know, but I definitely could sense there was emotion there. And so after the funeral, you know, the next,
I'm gonna change my chair back to that one. Yeah, guys, it's just really hard for me to go through this. It's really hard.
couple days, I was just
we're gonna start scanning right through. Okay. Thanks everyone for hanging in there. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. This is one of the most boring story I ever heard in a very long time. Like, there was so much build up, but the climax, oh my God.
Spent a lot of time with his family, and
It's a blue ball.
spent a lot of time with his older sister because she was around, because the mom wanted all of her kids and grandkids to be around her. Obviously, she just lost her husband of 50 years. And so I started spending a lot more time with the older sister, and you know, I'm not picking up on like a whole lot of bad vibes. Like, I thought she was super nice. I thought her kids were so cute, and I love babies. I love little kids. So I really started to bond with her kids. And so it was a good trip. Obviously, there was definitely some tension, but regardless, I think everyone got along, and, you know, we were able to just support each other while they all grieved, like losing their father and, you know, / husband. So after being in Denmark for about a week, I had to go back to Dallas.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for me to show the chair. Sorry.
I had to work. And so I'm back home in Dallas for maybe like a couple days, and I get an email from immigration saying that I have a notification, and I will continue the rest in part 17. The Danish Deception, part 16. Okay, let me recap a little bit for you guys.
Oh, no, please don't. Please don't. Please. 17.
The Danish Deception, part 16. Okay, let me recap a little bit for you guys. So it is now April of 2024. I found out about his gambling addiction in February of 2024. So we've had a very, very solid good 2 months. I feel like he's being honest. I have a feeling he's ready to propose, because I knew he had the ring, but he knew I wasn't ready to accept.
Oh, we're 17. I'm sorry. We're 17, right, guys? 17, sorry.
The Danish Deception, part 17. Okay, so I get a notification from immigration, log into my account, and lo and behold, the petition was approved. And I remember I was relieved for a few reasons. The first one is that, you know, obviously we get to start building life here together in Dallas, but also if there
Someone says, I don't know how you're still smiling, because I haven't smiled once since I started watching this series.
there was any skeletons from his past, I feel like it would not have been approved. So I almost felt like relief whenever I saw that. And so I called it.
Another comment says, if you made it this far in the series, book yourself a trip. You've earned it. Yeah, that's so true. I need a trip after watching this, seriously.
And obviously he was excited. We called our lawyer, asking her, you know, what are the next steps? And she said, well, you can stay in the States next time you come, and we can file a.
Someone says, let me guess, even after all of this, they were going on the trip, next part.
file for a work visa and a travel visa, but you're not gonna be able to go back to Denmark. And at this point he was like, since my dad's passed, like I can work remote. Work's been a little bit slow, so I can work remote. Obviously I might have to pull some all-nighters, which isn't ideal, but it's worth it to be with you. And so I said, okay, that's fine. After a couple of weeks, he comes back to Dallas, and he comes with his mom this time. This is her first time in the United States. And I remember just being so excited, and I wanted her to have the best time because, you know, she's just lost her husband of 50 years. And I go to DFW to pick them up. I had a big sign saying, welcome to Dallas. And I also got his mom some flowers. And it was just such a special moment. She had like this American flag draped around her, and she's just like so proud to be in the States. So we come back home, I cooked dinner, and we just spent the week exploring Dallas. And then we had gone to Key West for about 5 days. We did Miami and Key West with his mom. And I will say a lot of that trip was paid for by his mom. She wanted to cover a lot of it, which was just so sweet. And then like, I remember I paid for the flights, and then he paid for a bunch of stuff while we got there, but she paid for most of the hotel. So we all kind of like paid for a little bit. But you know, I know y'all haven't forgotten this man still owes me money. And so I remember we were in Key West, and I said, hey, are you gonna start sending me some funds? And it was awkward because I wanted to bring it up for a while, but then, you know, we went to Panama, he paid for everything, then his dad passed away, and I didn't, like, it's just, now it's getting kind of awkward for me to bring it up. And so he's like, yeah, I'm gonna send you some money. We go through the trip in Key West, have a good time, come back to the States. He still hasn't sent me money. He's giving me like kind of like the turnaround, and I'm getting a little antsy, and I'm getting very triggered. And so we're in the living room, and he says he wants to just go on the balcony and get some fresh air. And I start creeping. I walk up to the window, and I'm trying to like look over his shoulder at his phone, and he doesn't know I'm looking. And on his phone, I see there's a gambling website, and my stomach is in knots, and his mom is currently in the living room with me. So there's nothing that I can really say, because again, I'm still wanting to protect him. And again, I will repeat this one more time. I wanted to tell everyone about his addiction and our issues. I wanted to tell the world, but he very much said everyone's going to view me differently. With the excuse with his mom, he was like, she's an old woman, you're going to stress her out, and she's not going to be able to do anything about it, and now she's just stressed. So he was able to manipulate me into not bringing it up to anyone. And so his mom is here, and I don't say a word. Instead, I send him a text, and I just say, and it's weird because he's in the same, like he's 5 feet from me, and I send him a text saying, I see a gambling website on your phone. I'm going to need to see your bank statements as soon as possible. And he tells me, you know, I'm only on this website because that's where I can watch sports for free. And I was just like, huh? This makes no sense. Obviously, I'm detecting all the bullshit. So I say, I want to see your bank statements right now. He pulls them up, and like at this point, he has his Revolut statements, which I don't know if you guys remember, the very first time I sent him money, I downloaded an app called Revolut. Kind of like Venmo. He uses that for a lot of things in the States because you basically get the local currency rate if you use Revolut, and he had like a physical card that was tied to his Revolut. So I wanted to see that. So he printed out, or didn't print out, he showed me like the statements directly from his phone for Revolut, and then he showed me his Danish bank account and the transactions. And I went through everything with a fine-tooth comb over the course of like months, and did not see anything alarming at all. So obviously I saw this gambling website on his phone, but I checked his bank accounts, I didn't see anything. So I let it go, but I was very clear, I better not ever see this on your phone ever, ever, ever again. So his mom leaves after having a great trip, and at this point, I'm still like waiting for these transfers, and I'm like, what's going on? And he keeps telling me that he has things to pay for. Like he said he was helping his mom out with something, and then he said that he had another insurance payment.
Okay, we're gonna end in part 17. I'm gonna come back and finish we're gonna do part 2 on part 17 and finish the series, okay? And I wanted to go live and do like a bunch of like multi-stream for gambling activity. Obviously he's using a different app for gambling activity. Yes, we're gonna come back for the rest later, because I want to stream to like multiple different channels, and something is happening when I initially started it, and I'm a little bit like I need a drink. Okay, if we're gonna do part 2, maybe we should play a drinking game. Okay, we want to have a drink and have a little more fun with this. Okay, maybe get a popcorn or something. Thanks everyone for being here. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, so thanks everyone for being here, and I'm gonna